I've now had a proper opportunity to take instructions on that. We don't press those orders further, so we ask that the transcript of the closed session yesterday afternoon and the orders in relation to the subject matter, both of those should be vacated or revoked, or whichever verb suits,
whichever we choose,
most convenient to you, Commissioner. They should come to an end one way or another, because that evidence. I've now had instructions. We don't press a 12B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm grateful. I might just do that formally after morning tea, and I'll pull up the relevant passage of the transcript where I did whatever it was that I did at various points. But thank you. I'm grateful for that indication. Mr. Nadan, you're still on your oath from yesterday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. McDonald.
Now, Mr. Nadan, can I return to the financial position of the council and the budget? Now, excuse me. Would you please bring up document INQ.016.001.0004? And if we go to the first page, I took you to this document yesterday, Mr. Nadan. It's the long-term financial plan for 26-35.
Yep.
I took you to page _0007. And I had taken you to the net operating results, which have a deficit of about, and sorry, this can be live streamed. Yes.
Could we just zoom in a little bit more? Sorry.
You've got the deficit for the financial year 24-25, and can you remind me, what figure is it?
For 24-25?
Yes.
It was 5.9 from memory. I can read it properly, 5.9.
Right. It's hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it foreshadows for this financial year the 800,000 surplus.
That's correct.
And the achieving of a surplus from the previous year's deficit, that was going to be achieved by, you referred to yesterday, a second tranche of redundancies through the staff of the council?
Yes, I did. I had to refresh my memory a little bit. Looked at the long-term financial plan last night. There is another item in there that is actually retained as giving us a positive result.
All right, I'm just taking you through each item. Yesterday you identified further redundancies through tranche 2. That's correct?
Correct.
And what other items had you?
Okay, I spoke about the Canterbury Bankstown case.
With the bridge, the arbitration on the bridge?
Yep. So I talked about two parts of it. First one was the initial repairs, and the other part was the ongoing repairs. It might be commercially sensitive, so I don't know whether I can quote a figure, but
can I just pause and ask you this? You gave you gave evidence yesterday of an amount already paid to the council under that item.
Correct.
Right. Are you now foreshadowing there are some other funds expected,
Correct.
again under that item?
Correct.
And those funds are expected in this financial year?
In 25-26, yes.
Right. When you say expected, are they definitely going to be paid, or is this still subject to either court cases or arbitration?
I believe there is a deed of agreement signed, and they need to come to a conclusion or come to a resolution within 6 months from the date of that deed.
All right.
So it's confirmed that we're going to get it.
You're going to get something. Has it been confirmed how much?
Can I raise my feet? Only because I don't know. Again,
Yeah, I understand.
I just need to take some instructions on the scope of the
Yeah.
any confidentiality arrangements that may
Yeah.
apply.
Yeah.
None
Perhaps
of this may be necessary.
yes, I understand. Perhaps I mean, there's been a provision made in the 25-26 year for whatever this is. Perhaps we can come back to the detail of it if necessary after morning tea, and then Mr. Emmett can work out what it is that he needs to work out.
May I please.
That expected amount, it's been included in the revenue contained in this document.
Yes, in 25-26.
And which line item is it in? Is that?
Well, I don't know.
Let's just go to the detail, because I'm not sure the detail will give away too much, but if it does, you let me know. But if we go to the detail at about page 32, I think, thereabouts.
This is the base case that we were looking at yesterday.
Yes.
And you can see revenue there. There are a number of line items which are rather broadly described. Can you identify which line item?
The answer is I just don't know. I may well know after the morning tea adjournment. I may have no problem with that. The fact is I don't know as I stand here now.
All right. Well, unless it was a sole line item, it wouldn't give away the secret, but perhaps if we can come back to
I'll come back after
Thank
morning
you.
tea. And Mr Nadan, so you've identified that amount dealing with the bridge, which you say is contained in some kind of deed of agreement. You identified yesterday the further redundancies from tranche number 2. Were there any other items that were, or matters that were relied upon to allow the forecast of a surplus of about $800,000?
No, I don't recall any extraordinary items in there. They're all normal business, ordinary business matters.
And the previous reliance on sale of property, for example, 3 Hoxton Park Road, has that been abandoned in determining the budget for this financial year?
That's correct.
And can I just confirm my understanding of your evidence yesterday? The first tranche of redundancies, which to your knowledge were 2 directors and 2 executive assistants.
That's correct.
Were there any other positions at that point in tranche number 1 to your knowledge?
No.
And again, your understanding is that whatever redundancy or termination under from terminating a contract, those funds have already been paid in the last financial year.
I'm not sure whether they've been paid before 30th of June, but I can confirm that I have created a provision to pay for that. So basically the council will be booking that redundancy expenditure in 24-25 through a provision.
You referred to the provision yesterday. I was unsure what the provision covered. So your evidence is that provision, and you said it was about $2 million?
2 million for redundant termination payments, yes.
Your evidence is it covers those redundancies or terminations of the 2 directors and executive assistants from last year,
Yes.
and also is a provision that if the tranche 2 redundancies terminations are pursued, any payments there are already booked against that provision of $2 million.
As far as we are, that's within 2 million. If it is more than 2 million, that will be a charge against 25-26 financial year.
And when you say a charge for the 25-26 financial year, that means it will come out of your revenue?
It will come out from the bank and it will be recorded as an expenditure.
Yes, sorry. When I say come out of your revenue, I'm talking about revenue as in you cash in the bank.
Correct.
Now, excuse me for a minute. I'll take you back to document LCC-014.002.1411. Yes. It's the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee minutes for the 26th of February. Mr Nadan, I took you to this document yesterday. You can see it's the minutes from the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting of the 26th of February.
Correct.
Would we go through to excuse me, underscore 0006. This was part of your report.
Yep.
I took you to the second paragraph yesterday where you reported finding the $5 million in savings through a line-by-line budget assessment for the 25-26 financial year. Is that referring to the savings that you've identified through the further money from the bridge and also the tranche 2 redundancies?
Not really. Those are separate adjustments. This 5 million is looking at the operating budget and saying, okay, this is how you've been spending for the last 3 years, and the budget in the phase cut that's in there for that line item is pretty high, so we reduce that. So by going through line by line, that's what I did.
All right.
Yeah.
And that line by line exercise that you undertook, at least at this point in February, was that ultimately reflected in the budget for 25-26?
Right.
But from your evidence, those line by line items you wouldn't classify as a big ticket item.
Correct.
The big ticket items were the bridge and the tranche 2 redundancies.
There are big ticket items, but this 5 million that this report is referring to is other operating expenses. Things like, FSOL contractors, these are the other operating expenses. So there are many lines, security contractors, cleaning contractors, things like that. So those are, when I looked at the trend coming in for the last 3 years, and the budget provision that was there for 25, 26 was pretty high. So I had to reduce that. So going through that exercise, I found 5 million on top of the big ticket items we're talking about.
Well, with those items, on what basis did you reduce them? If they were X for the previous financial year and you were looking at trends with the figure,
Correct.
what was the basis on which you would then reduce it to be included in the 25, 26?
So generally when we do the budget, we look at last 3 years of trend and say, okay, you've been spending X amount this year, this year, this year. On average, this is it. And why are you asking for a higher amount in 25, 26? So questioning that and agreeing with the directors, okay, what is the realistic amount? And then we put in the realistic amount based on that average trend that we had for the previous years. And that's how I made a savings of 5 million.
All right. So it's actually not a cut. It's rather
Realistic.
speaking to your directors and saying realistically for security at this venue, what will be spent next year.
Correct.
Does that take into account that there might have been an underspend on a budgeted item in the previous year? So it doesn't matter what type of contract it is, but in the previous year, let's say, to use round numbers because they're easy for me, 100,000 was budgeted, 75 was spent. The next year comes around, they ask for another 100. You say, well, hang on, you've spent 75 in each year. Should it realistically be 75?
That's the exercise.
Really bare basics, I know, but is that the sort of exercise?
That's right. We also look at the revenue at the same time. I mean, look at this. And I guess there are some revenues, especially the user charges, they're market driven, like DA fee, for example. So we will say, well, the director will say, look, we are getting less DIs. But if from accounting point of view, there is another consideration. Those DAs needs to be determined before it actually recognizes revenue. So if it's not determined, yes, we got the money in, but you can't recognize it as a revenue.
I see.
So those factors are
You've got to balance
considered to
that as well.
determine, what is the realistic number.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Now, at the end of that paragraph, there was a reference to the committee communicated that management need to put measures in place, excuse me, to ensure these savings are realised.
Yes.
Now, these are the savings that you've just described to the Commissioner, the line-by-line budget assessment. What measures have been put in place to ensure that the savings are realised?
Okay, so normally when the financial year starts, I provide a list of big ticket items and it gets reported to the executive so that we are actually keeping an eye on this, how we are performing, whether we can achieve that or not. Now, for the first time for 25, 26, the CEO has asked all the directors to sign on a piece of paper showing that, yes, I'm agreeing, I've looked at my budget and I'm accountable to deliver this. So this is the first time that has been implemented. So all the directors are actually signing on their budget.
All right. And their budgets will include the particular line items where you have found savings from
Correct.
the previous year.
So the adjustments were done in consultation with directors, and the directors are comfortable with those budget, depending on which director it relates to, and they are signing on that this is, we are happy with the budget and we will be delivering this.
Okay.
And achieving those
All right.
assumptions.
You've got that signed undertaking by the directors, but are you putting in any additional controls in that you monitor expenses?
Correct. So that's the directors have signed on that. So what we do as finance, we provide regular reports to the executives. We provide monthly updates to the governance committee, which includes the governing body. We provide budget review reports every quarter. That's a public document. how we are performing against what we said we're going to deliver.
But those reports, they've been in place in the past,
Correct.
right? And those reports in the past have not prevented the council moving from a foreshadowed surplus to a deficit. Is that the case?
Correct. But there are, as I've said, there could be some issues that's outside the control of the council and that can't be achieved. So these big ticket items, for example, look at Bankstown, for example. If in a situation we were unable to negotiate or come to an agreement with them, then obviously that amount is not delivered by 30th of June, and that will be a budget adjustment. And the other one is, for example, the financial assistance grant. In the budget for 25-26, we have assumed that we're going to get 85% in advance. That's what we have assumed. Reflecting back to what happened in 24-25, they gave us 50%, and that created a hole of $3.7 million in the budget. So come June next year, we'll have to see what the federal government does. If they don't give us 85%, if they say give us again 50%, then there is another hole in the budget. So those are the timing variances we need to take into account.
I can understand those, but this relates to those. My understanding of the line-by-line budget assessment didn't include the big ticket items.
Correct, yes.
But it's, excuse me, looking at a particular director and saying, last year you spent $4 million on security.
Yep.
Can you keep that down to either
3.5,
4 million or 3.5?
Yep.
And are you monitoring those line by line? And you're saying that you report that through the usual reporting mechanism that you've had in place for years?
Apart from that, we have finance business partners. They actually engage with the directors regularly after month end, and we basically monitor if there are any issues or if there is any variances, and that gets reported to the executives. And I guess if we have a situation where we find something that's not, there are issues about achieving that budget, then obviously as a team, they look at other areas where we can actually find these savings to fill that gap. That's what we are doing.
Now, excuse me for a minute. Could we return to INQ.016.001.0004? And page underscore 0007. With the net operating, and this can be live streamed, the net operating results graph, after the small surplus foreshadowed for this financial year, that ratio returns to a deficit for a number of years.
Yes.
Why does it return to a deficit?
Okay, so 25-26 financially, referring back to the Bankstown matter.
You've got the bridge money.
Yes, so that's a one-off.
And you've got tranche 2 redundancies.
Correct. So tranche 1 and tranche 2 redundancies actually improve the deficit position in the 4 years. But the Bankstown matter is a one-off in 25-26 that doesn't get repeated. So that's why you see the surplus up there. But in the 4 years, that's not repeated. But we are trying to manage the trajectory. And if it's 27-28 financially, you see another dip in
Yes.
that is getting worse.
Yes.
That assumes that we will stop getting rental from one of our major properties that's been earmarked for sale currently. That's why it's that way.
Sorry, you assumed you will stop getting income
Rental
from
income from a major property.
which has been earmarked for sale.
Well, it's an assumption for now.
Okay.
Yes.
There's such an assumption. Is that based on, what do you base it on?
That was a council resolution that identified that property earmarked, and we offered that to TCOP as a financial covenant that we will actually sell that property and repay $23 million loan that we got for the CV place as the last tranche. So there is a council resolution to support that.
You remember when that was? Again, roughly?
2023, I would think. 23, yeah.
Mr. Emmett, is there any difficulty if I ask what the property is?
I was about to say, the answer is I don't know.
All right,
There may not be.
I'll
Can I take
hold
instructions over the
fire.
break? Thank you, Commissioner.
I'll pause my curiosity until after morning tea.
So there's some of the explanations why the forecast is that the council remains in deficit, and indeed there's a further, increase in the deficit.
Yes. Now, can I just add that there are a few other initiatives which I can't talk about here publicly because there is, it's been in place. We're working towards it, but we don't know what the outcome would be, and that's the reason it's not included in the long-term financial plan. As we know, the Western Sydney Airport becomes operational in 25-26.
Yes.
We have actually included a notional amount in 26-27 as ex gratia we will get. What that amount is, we don't know. It could be higher or lower, but I guess we just factored in an amount in there. Just a very rough estimate in the minute, and that amount will differ subject to negotiations and agreement with the Western Sydney Airport.
Right, can I just pause there? With the new airport commencing,
Correct.
the council anticipates it's going to get some ex gratia payment.
Correct.
And that amount, though it hasn't been determined yet,
Correct.
an assumption of the amount has been included?
Yes, it's been included with a corresponding expenditure, so it doesn't actually impact on the operating and net operating result. So we have included a notional expenditure for the same amount.
Right.
So
It
it's
nets off.
Sorry,
It nets off.
it nets off. Yeah, I mean we don't know what impact will be when the airport comes in, which areas we look after, which roads gets allocated to us, all the grass cutting and the maintenance and everything we don't know. And in terms of negotiating with the Western Sydney Airport, in terms of how much they need to pay,
Yeah.
we need to, I guess, provide evidence, fee for a service kind of evidence.
That provision in 26-27 then isn't actually affecting the ultimate
doesn't
result
impact on the
because it's
line.
because it's been netted off.
Correct. It doesn't impact on that. But there are other projects. I think we referred to project number 26. I guess I can say that we have called for expression of interest to develop car parks, 2 of our car parks in the CBD that will inject a lot of cash, and that might generate some revenue too, but we don't know yet what the outcome will be, but we have an expression of interest already in place.
In respect of 2 car parks in the
Correct.
city. And you referred to project 26, which I was going to ask you about.
Yep.
Would you return to document LCC.014.002.1411? Would you go to page _0004? And item 11.6. It describes there that the acting CEO.
Sorry, Miss McDonald, just pause. It hasn't yet
sorry.
reached the screen. Page 4.
Page 4. And this can be live streamed. Now, this is a report or a summary of what the acting CEO informed the committee.
Yep.
But you can see there it's described as it aims to address Liverpool's council's substantial debt through a strategic focus on revenue streams, asset optimisation, efficiencies and systems. And then there's a highlighted the need to optimise 25% of the council's asset portfolio that would significantly reduce the debt. Now, Mr Portelli gave some evidence about Project 26. His description of it seemed to be that at the moment it's at the, excuse me, the level of, not in a prerogative, start again. His description of it was at a high level, that at the moment Project 26 hasn't really delved down into detail.
Correct.
Is that fair enough?
Correct.
And the description here of to address the substantial debt through a strategic focus on revenue streams, asset optimisation, efficiencies and systems. The example you gave of the car parks, are they current? I'm going to ask about the car park. Right, the car parks, are they currently owned by the council?
Correct.
And the idea is either to sell them or rent them out to a commercial enterprise?
On my side, the expression of interest is inviting proposals from interested parties, what they can do with that piece of car park. It might end up into them developing that area with a condition that they give or dedicate the current number of car parks that's currently available for public as part of the development. So that's one of the conditions that we put in. You do your development, you provide X number of car parks to the community or dedicate to council, so the public will not lose on that. We still have that, plus they will do the development, and then it might lead into a transfer of land to them because they will be doing their property on there, and that will generate some income. So in a nutshell, yes, there will be a sale transaction that will happen. If you might call it, could be called as a developer rights.
It was what, sorry?
A developer rights fee. So they will pay that, which will be basically proceeds for that, taking ownership of that piece of land.
So with that example, there is possible revenue through the developer revenue.
Cash.
And then depending on what ultimately happens, there may be a sale of that property to the car park developer, which again would possibly generate income for the council.
Correct.
The description of Project 26, is your understanding it was given that name because it's somehow associated with the new airport opening?
Well, that's what the CEO says, so I believe him.
All right.
Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know, 26, 27, 28.
All right. Can you see there, it further states that the CEO highlighted the need to optimise 25% of the council's asset portfolio to optimise 25% of the council's asset portfolio. What's your understanding of what that is referring to?
All right. So if you look at the total value of assets that we currently own, it's close to $800 million.
Yeah.
And his idea is if we can rationalize 25% of that amount, either through sale or rezoning or whatever options they come up with. So he's looking at that 25% of 800 million.
And as you said, the rationalisation could be sale, could be rezoning,
Correct.
could be going into some kind
Correct.
of
Can I just add
public-private
something else? When you talk about sale,
partnership.
when we talk about sale of asset,
Mhm.
we need as a resolution. So there will be a piece of land, for example, identified through this exercise that we need to dispose this piece of land because it's not economical. It's going to cost us millions of dollars to, restore it or do whatever with it. We have to go to a governing body to get a resolution to do so.
Yes.
So it's not if I might say, it's not a fire sale. It will be a educated, informed decision that will be put in front of the council as the governing body. They need to make another decision before you can actually transact that.
Yes. No, and that reflects your role and it reflects the governing body's role.
Correct.
As elected representatives of the community.
That's right.
If they make a determination that the community that they represent don't like selling assets, then your proposal, which
With just
might
natural
be
death, if you like.
wonderfully economically rational,
Yeah,
may not be accepted by the governing body.
that's right.
But just going back to this passage that Councillor Sisting's taking you to and the need to optimise 25% of the council's asset portfolio. Tell me if I've misunderstood you in any way, but what you understand that to mean is effectively using those assets in a way that extracts the maximum benefit to the council, whether that be by sale, rezoning, looking at how it's used and how its use may be improved. Have I understood you correctly?
That's correct.
Excuse me. And within council, is there, like, for example, a Project 26 team or Project 26 group that meets? How's it being advanced at the moment?
All right. Initiatives like these, I guess, when we're looking at that or executing that, teams from various areas comes in depending on the need. So if there is a legal need, legal people come in and help. Finance people come in, provide the financial input. But I guess Project 26 was sitting in the previous structure with city features, which has commercial development in there, a function. And I believe now in the new structure, there will be a group, strategic projects group that will be sitting under the CEO's office. And as required, the other areas will come in and contribute, planning, finance, legal, property services, they'll come in.
So that strategic project group wouldn't be under one of the directorships. It's reporting directly to the CEO.
Right, that's how I understand.
Has that group been formed yet?
It's been developed, but I don't know whether the structure has been confirmed or not.
Yesterday, when you were giving evidence, you referred at one point to the property purchased. Oh, no, sorry. Before going there, can I go back to another issue? Sorry about that. There were two additional matters under this broad topic of financial position budget. Would you please bring up document OLG.001.001.0310 Yes. And would you go through down to, I think it's page 2. There. I'm sorry?
Sorry, do you mind repeating the number?
001.001.0310. And it's at page 0002. If you move towards the bottom of that page, you'll see an email from the Mayor to John Ajaka. You see that?
Yes.
Dated the 12th of April 2024, and the subject is confidential next steps budget.
Yep.
You see that? Now, you weren't copied into that email, but Mr Portelli was, and you're obviously working on the budget at this point. If you look at the body of the email, it's the Mayor is seeking modelling and recommendations for the budget, and you can see there are 4 matters that he's raised. A reduction of management costs by 2 million that can be achieved by a mixture of lessening the amount of directors and managers, 1 million reduction in wages, removing non-core function positions, an annual comparison of legal expenses, and then income projected from property leasing presented to councillors in 2018, Feb 2022 against the current, and it's to identify a number of properties.
Correct.
Now that request, which was made in April 2024 for the modelling, if there was any modelling as to the effect of incorporating all or any of those suggestions, would have that been undertaken by you or a member of your team?
When it comes to the rental of property leasing, it's actually managed by the commercial development area, commercial services in City Futures. They would have provided what the current projection is,
Mhm.
the rates. The 2018 one, what we presented at that point in time, we had that information. Obviously, that's historical information. I can't recall whether we've done this modeling.
All right, you can see if you ignore point 4,
Yep.
the points 1 and 2 seem to be a suggestion of redundancies or termination of directors and managers, and then also looking at a reduction of other wages. Can you recall whether around April or May 2024 you were asked to do that modelling?
No, I'm sorry, I can't recall that. But from the date of the email 2024, that would have informed the 24-25 budget.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's the budget that's going to be presented in June 2024.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have no recollection of being either asked or directed by Mr Portelli to provide that modelling?
No, I recall there were information requested. I don't know where it came from, CEO or somewhere, but I've seen a list of managers across the organization, list of coordinators across the organization. That list was requested and it was provided from the HR team to Portelli, Mr. Portelli.
All right.
Yeah,
So that was just a list.
a list.
All right. But no, this is actually seeking modelling, and modelling, I take it, is you incorporate it into one of your assumptions for the budget and whether that would have an effect on whether there's going to be a deficit or a surplus.
No, that was not the modeling exercise we did.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you
Yeah.
what you actually did. You said you didn't model
No.
based on this, but that is what is anticipated, that you get information that would change one of your assumptions, and that's fed in to the draft budget.
Correct. Yeah, that's a normal process.
All right. Now, I want to ask you some questions about some evidence that Mr Portelli gave yesterday. And I understand that you had arrived at the hearing and you were watching the live stream in another room.
Bits and pieces here.
All right. And you did hear some of the evidence that Mr Portelli gave yesterday. It's the creative accounting evidence.
You got to remind me what he said probably.
All right.
Because I
Well,
was not 100% concentrating on the evidence that was given by Portelli yesterday morning.
all right. I was under the impression from something you said to me that you had listened to it, but don't worry, I'll
Yeah.
take you back.
Bits and pieces.
All right. In the lead up to the June 2024 budget, which was presented in June,
Yep.
at some point in that period where different drafts of the budget are being prepared, at some stage, was there a version of the budget which had a deficit of $25 million?
The first cut.
The
The first cut.
And then over time, that first cut, which had a 25 million deficit, was the deficit was decreased, and there was actually an anticipated surplus in the June 24 budget.
Yes, we wanted to have a surplus, but that was, as I've said yesterday, we were chasing for a surplus budget or a
Yes.
balanced budget. And $24 million as the first cut was not going to go down well. So we
No.
had to do a lot of work on that to get it down to a level.
I'm sorry, Mr Nadan, I lost the last bit. You said $24 million and then the
So
first cut was $24 million and then you continued.
we had to do a lot of work on it.
A lot of
So
work.
Basically, what I did, looking at line by line, find $5 million there. The other directors looked at what they can change, what they can find more revenue, and all those things were factored in. And I think the last cut, before the instruction for me to incorporate the 3 Hoxton Park Road, we were about $6 million in deficit.
6 million before.
6 million or 4 million from memory were there.
Thank you.
In the answer that you just gave, when you identified that the first cut was a deficit of about 24 or 25 million, you said that was not going to go down well. When you say it was not going to go down well, with whom was it not going to go down well?
It was the governing body. Because the first cut is, if you like, includes a lot of things that other managers want to do, and we call it like a wish list. And I guess there is a bit of a balancing act, what we can do and what we can afford. So if you can't afford it, obviously the executive needs to decide where is the priority.
Your identification of the first cut as the wish list, and you've done many budgets over the years,
Yeah.
is that the inevitable kind of trend that the first cut is the wish list budget,
Generally,
usually in a deficit?
yes.
I'm
If you talk about council, this council.
talking about council.
Yes.
And then moving on from the first cut,
Yeah.
if I can describe it as the hard, cold facts of you're not going to get to the directors, you're not going to get your wish list.
Correct.
Over time, things are deleted, things are decreased to try and either get to a balanced budget or a smaller deficit.
Correct. I guess the objective is to present a realistic budget, if you like, what we can afford and what we can deliver.
Now, At any time in leading up to the June 2024 budget, did Mr Portelli ever say anything to you about a conversation he had with Mr Rajaka about the state of the budget, and in particular when it was at about a deficit of 24 to 25 million?
Budget discussion with my boss, which is Mr Portelli, we have regular meetings.
Yes.
He gives me feedback from what he gets from the executives, the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of share ideas. And one of the things that he told me that Mr. Jaka wanted him to do some creative accounting. And his response to that, that's what he said, it's not happening. And my contribution to that was over my dead body.
That was your contribution. Okay. Yeah. Can I just stop you there? And we're talking about that period of roughly December 2023 leading up to June 2024, where you're developing the different iterations of the budget.
Correct.
Using that time frame, can you remember roughly when you had this conversation with Mr. Portelli, where he said, Mr. Rajaka told me to utilise creative accounting?
Would be before March, April, somewhere there, when we had presented that first cut to the executives, that this is where it's going to look like.
So your recollection is the first cut, which contains the wish list, had been presented
to the executives.
And when you say the executives, that means it's not going anywhere near the governing body at that point?
No.
Purely the directors and obviously the CEO.
Correct.
And yourself.
Yeah.
Now, and as you said, your response was over my dead body.
Yeah.
I take it with that response, your involvement in the preparation and ultimately the budget that was put to council and accepted did not involve any creative accounting.
No.
When Mr. Portelli said to you the words creative accounting, what did you understand that was a reference to, which allowed you to say not over my dead body or over my dead body, sorry?
So, as you're aware, the budget is based on assumptions. They're not actual, right? So they're based on best information available at that point in time. And our objective is to present a realistic budget, taking into account or considering the way it's going to be actually accounted for when we do the actual accounting of those. So creative accounting means make some broad assumptions, like which cannot be really substantiated, like, you increase your revenue by X amount, which is not, if you know it's not going to happen, but you just put it in there just to make the budget look good. Things like, if I can talk about, say, DA revenue, we know, this is what the market is telling us, but we can actually put in another $1 million and say the DA revenue would be that much. But in reality, we know the market's not going that way and we'll not be able to get that. So that's creative accounting.
So that DA example, if the trend and knowing your property market in the area, you were only going to get $1 million revenue for that.
Correct.
But there was an assumption in your budget that suddenly you were going to get $2 million.
Correct.
That may be an example of creative accounting.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You gave an outline of the budgets based on assumptions. And again, the assumptions in a sense, have to have some basis in reality. Is that
Correct.
a way of describing
Correct,
it?
yeah.
The inclusion of a sale of property where that property had not previously been earmarked, was not subject to a resolution by council that it be sold or that it be looked at being sold. The inclusion of the proceeds of a sale of property in those circumstances, is that nearing, or is it possibly creative accounting or edging towards creative accounting?
I'm a little concerned by this notion of edging towards creative accounting. That ought to be explained to the witness if that's going to be.
I think that's probably right. I think the question, what you're getting at is permissible, but maybe just the form
All right.
might lead us into a bit of...
Mr Nadan, I've described those circumstances that I want you to assume. To incorporate revenue from a possible sale of this property, as I said, in circumstances where it hasn't been earmarked, no discussion by the governing body, not earmarked, no resolution for it to be sold or considered to be sold. My first question is, to include that revenue in the budget, is that an example of creative accounting?
Well, the assumptions that are put forward and included in the budget are actually validated by the respective directors. They are the subject matter experts, and they say this is what the market is, this is what we can deliver, this is what we are comfortable to include that. And if a director who's responsible for commercial development, which includes sale of property, is saying this item has been identified, and as I've said before, it will have to go back to the governing body for approval and include that in the budget. Not 100% legitimate, but leaning towards not creative accounting, if you like, but an incorrect assumption.
All right. You're very diplomatic, Mr Nadan.
Sorry, why would it be an incorrect assumption?
Sorry?
Why did you say it was an
Well,
incorrect assumption?
if the director is selling me, here's the $14 million value of that property, and I'm going to settle that within 12 months, so we're going to sell it, right?
Yes.
And if it is not delivered within that time, that's an incorrect.
It ultimately turns out to be an incorrect assumption.
Exactly.
But is it
So
incorrect?
because there are other processes in between before you, as you know, if you sell a property, there are other things that we need to do.
Yes.
So one, we need to go back to the council and get a resolution. If they say no, then you can't sell it. Right?
Right.
So all those things. So if an assumption is put in there, say I'm going to sell a piece of land, and there is no resolution before that, it could be an incorrect assumption.
It might turn out to be an incorrect assumption.
Correct.
I think what Councillor Sisting is driving at, though, is there a problem in your mind about including a sale or a proposed sale of the property in the budget at the time it's included in the circumstances that it's been described to you? Hang on. Let me just pause for a moment. Is there a difficulty in your mind in including in a budget the proposed sale of a property that hasn't been previously identified for sale or isn't yet subject to a council resolution for sale?
I don't think there is a problem to include like that.
Right, pause there. Why do you say that?
Because, as I've said, budget is then based on assumptions. If that is the assumption, if the director responsible is saying that, yeah, I'm comfortable to do that sale, then that's not a problem. But I don't have any knowledge about whether he was put under pressure to put it in there or it was a legitimate assessment that he can actually deliver it. That's the difference.
Thank you.
And from that answer, it would appear that you are reliant on a director identifying a piece of property within their jurisdictional portfolio.
Correct.
And putting it forward as this could be sold, and this would be the revenue generated from
Correct.
that.
Correct.
And is it the case that in building the assumptions for the budget, if a director presents you with that possible transaction, you include it?
I will include that, and then it gets presented to the executives. They know this is what it is. And then it's presented to the governing body that these are the key assumptions that have been factored in before it actually goes to the council floor for adoption.
So are you saying those additional steps where it goes to the executive, etc.,
Yeah.
if there's an assumption that they don't agree with or have concerns about, it should be raised then?
Correct.
All right. Now, your conversation with Mr Portelli that you thought was round March, April of 2024, just roughly.
Yeah.
You've given us an account where he says creative accounting was raised and his reply was, it's not going to happen. And you said, over my dead body. Did Mr Portelli say anything else about his conversation with Mr Ajaka that he told you at that point?
Not anything significant. Can't remember.
All right.
Yeah.
Going back to your work history, you commenced as the manager of financial services, was it?
Yeah, 2014.
And you became the chief financial officer. Would you please remind me?
Or August 2018.
Your role in preparing the budget, that obviously was since 2018.
No, as a manager of financial services, that function sits under me.
That was also your function then.
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge of, and I'm going to use the word creative accounting, being used or being attempted to be used in a budget at any time before that 24-25 budget?
When we were doing 22-23 budget, under the leadership or the acting CEO, then was Peter Diplos, and my boss, the then Director of Corporate Services, Paul Perret. Again, there were some assumptions made, which was later referred to as not substantiated, if you like. But again, they were not as significant as this one, $8 million. There were, I think there was $1 million that was included in the budget, where Paul Perret said that there were opportunities where we can actually do smart procurement and make savings.
Do smart
Procurement.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, using our buying power to get better deals, better contract management, and we can save $1 million. So that was incorporated in there.
I just confirm the time frame. Your recollection is that was for the 22-23 budget?
Correct.
So we're looking at the preparation of that budget roughly from January 2022 to June 2022.
That's right. Yeah.
And your recollection is included in the actual budget that was passed was a figure which reflected a savings from smart procurement.
That's right.
And that assumption in the financial year 22-23 did not occur?
It's hard to make that assessment because when we talk about better contract management and procurement, that impacts on many areas of the organization, including capital works. So, if you are doing better contract management, that in delivering of your infrastructure area, that's not reflected in the operating budget where this $1 million is. So it's there, which is basically less expenditure on capital works. So I guess it's hard to measure.
All right. So that was the particular item that comes to mind, that in the past there may have been an assumption which you questioned.
Yes.
And as you said, it was about $1 million linked to this concept of using smart procurement.
That's right.
And not undermining that assumptions should be reasonable and appropriate, but in the scheme of the budget for Liverpool City Council, is a line item or an effect of $1 million pretty small?
Correct. Not that significant.
And can I just confirm, at this particular point for this budget, that was after Mr. or Dr. Jackson his employment had been terminated, and Mr. Diplis had taken over as acting CEO.
That's right.
And then the Director of Corporate Support or Corporate Services was Mr. Perrett or Perrott?
Paul Perrett.
Perrett. Jumping back to around March, April 2024, after that discussion with Mr. Ajaka, withdraw that. After your discussion with Mr. Portelli, to your knowledge, creative accounting was never raised again?
No.
And you obviously didn't utilise creative accounting in the budget?
No.
No, I want to take you to a different topic. Yesterday you gave some evidence about 600 Cow Pasture Road.
Yeah, briefly.
Briefly, you were speaking about, I think it was in a reference to one of your reports about the amount that had been borrowed and how it was being paid for.
Yep.
Can I take you back to 600 Cow Pasture Road? When did you first become aware of a proposal that that land be purchased?
It was early 2022 when I received a call from the mayor, and I was overseas, and the question that was put to me is, can we afford to buy a property worth $20 million? Can we find $20 million to buy a property? At that point in time, he did not tell me that it was 600 Cow Pasture Road.
Sorry?
He did not tell me that it was 600 Cow Pasture Road. When I came back, then I think 2 weeks later, I had a meeting with him, and I don't know who else was there. And I can't recall. He gave me an information paper, which was the marketing document that Colliers were using to put that property on the market. My advice to him at that point in time was, we cannot afford to buy a property like that using general funds, because we don't have general funds that much. Plus, we have to service the debt, which is for the civic place. We can't afford to do that. But as a CFO, I sometimes have to play a facilitating role as well. So I did say, well, it also now then depends on how you're going to use that property. If it is to deliver a infrastructure under a contribution plan, you can actually use Section 711 money to buy. Or if you're going to turn that into predominantly a domestic waste management depot, you can actually use domestic waste money for that. That was my advice.
All right. And I'm sorry, can I just go back? I missed the beginning. These conversations were occurring with whom?
With the mayor. When he handed me the copy of that information memorandum.
Excuse me for a minute. Before that meeting with the mayor, you spoke about being on holidays.
I was away overseas when he called me.
So you got a call from the mayor. And that telephone call with the mayor, what did he say to you in that telephone call?
So he asked me whether we can afford to buy a property worth $20 million.
Over the phone?
Yes.
And your reply?
A reply was probably not, but I have to come back and look at the numbers and give you better advice.
All right. In that telephone conversation, did the mayor identify what it was anticipated the property would be used for at that point?
No, he did not tell me what property he was referring to and what the use would be.
So just, can we buy a property worth about $20 million?
Yep.
Now, you were overseas. You then said when you returned from your holidays, you had a meeting with the mayor.
Yes.
The overseas holiday, so that would have been in 2022. Roughly what month was that?
I'm very regular every 3 months. So if I recall right, there was something I noted in the information memorandum. The EOI had closed when he actually handed over that document to me. So I'm just working back. So the EOI closed in May, I think, from memory, 12 or 22, somewhere there. And I had a meeting after that, maybe a month after that. And then if I work back, maybe I was on holidays around end of May.
All right.
Because
Now-
I did note that the EOI had actually closed on that paper.
Now, the meeting with the mayor, who attended that meeting?
I can't recall who else was there. It was obviously the mayor was there and I was there.
Was it unusual that you would have a meeting just with you and the mayor?
No, it's not unusual.
So often you will have a meeting with just you and the mayor.
Yeah, on the corridor, we'll have a chat and go come in my office and we just sit there and, you know.
The meeting, where did it take place?
I think it was in the mayor's office.
Now, your account of this meeting, you said that you started asking questions about, well, look, it depends on how you're going to use it.
Correct.
Before you suggested that, did the mayor say anything to you about why he wanted to buy this property?
No.
You're given this marketing document from Collier's,
That's right.
and your initial advice was we can't afford to buy the property from general funds. And if you, to buy a property from general funds, would that anticipate if it was $20 million, the whole $20 million would come out of general funds and be paid for the property, so there'd be no debt?
It's possible that if you can afford it, you can apply for a loan, and if it is approved, you get the loan and buy the property and repay through general funds.
All right. But you then also said, because of the question of servicing a loan, again, you had an issue about whether the council had the capability of servicing a loan.
That's right, using general funds.
And that was based on general funds. You then raised how you're going to use it, and you specifically referred to the section 711
Correct. Developer contributions.
developer contributions, or using the domestic waste
Yes,
rates.
correct. With the condition that it has to be predominantly used for domestic waste purposes.
When you said to the mayor, depends how you're going to use it, and use those two options, did he respond in any way?
No.
Now, in the budget, which would be 2021 to end of June 2022, was there anything earmarked or flagged about buying another property for around $20 million?
Generally, there is a provision for land acquisition in the capital works budget, and they relate to all the properties that council buys to deliver infrastructure under the contribution plan. Specifically for this piece of land, no.
And was it the same position in the 2022-23 budget?
I think so, yes.
So after that meeting with the mayor and raising, depends how you're going to use it, what's your next involvement with the purchase of this property?
I think I came in the picture, I believe there was extraordinary meeting, which actually said, indicated to submit an expression of interest to buy that piece of land. And then I believe there was another council resolution where they were going to actually buy this. And let's just refresh my memory. I think there was one in between as well where there was a resolution to go and borrow from T Corp and simultaneously go and get expression of interest from the banks, whether they will willing to fund that. So that's where I came into the picture.
All right.
Yeah.
And is that because obviously the council looking at whether they're going to resolve to purchase this property, how it's going to be financed is an issue?
Yeah,
And you're the person who's going to give details about how that's going to be financed.
correct.
Can I just ask you, when you said the borrowing from T Corp or the banks, an institution like a council, does it have the potential to borrow from T Corp?
Yes, provided there is no commercial elements attached to it.
No, what, sorry?
Commercial elements.
Mhm.
So T Corp's policy or their charter is to help councils to deliver infrastructure, not commercial infrastructure. So if there is a commercial element attached to it, they would not fund it.
And are there benefits to going to T Corp rather than a normal bank?
Yes, they're cheaper.
Oh,
Can you give me an example of a development or an acquisition that has a commercial element that would take it out of the remit of a T
Civic
Corp?
Place project. The initial assessment was, or initial understanding was that there is about 40% of the project which has a commercial element.
Because it's leasing to private tenants.
Yeah, commercial where we are renting it out.
Yeah.
So that's the commercial element.
Yeah.
Library, civic offices, the public domain, they are not commercial element.
Thank you.
and you spoke about 2 and possibly 3 council meetings,
Yes.
which lead up to a resolution to buy it. sorry,
Correct.
buy the property.
Yep.
At any point, are you informed about what the actual, now the purpose of the piece of land is going to be?
Now?
No, I'm sorry, I withdraw that question. You're meeting with the mayor, it wasn't identified why they were looking at purchasing the land.
No.
At some point in this lead up to the council saying, resolving by majority, we're going to buy it, were you informed of the use?
No. So I think the first, from memory, there was an extraordinary council meeting that actually said, yes, we are interested, put in a bid, person of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one where where I came in and talked about the funding arrangements that we can potentially
Mm-hmm.
put in.
But looking at those funding arrangements that were possible, you would have had to have known the purpose then.
Yeah,
because
it was floated like a depot.
for a depot.
Yeah.
And is your understanding a depot would be for a purpose that may attract a T Corp loan?
Yes, because it's part of council's infrastructure to deliver its services. Yeah.
And by the time the council resolved by a majority to buy the land, did you know whether the purpose or use had changed?
Yes.
And
That's why, if you look at the resolution, it talks about funding from refinancing the loan or repaying the loan from domestic waste reserve. So at that point in time, I understood that depot going to be used for domestic waste purposes.
you identified that as a possible source depending on the purpose.
Yes.
Were you asked anything more about using the domestic waste charges as a source, to partially fund this land? Or did you just raise it in that first meeting and then it was presented to you, this is what we're doing and we're going to use part of it?
I think the later, yes, I was told that this is what's going to happen and we're going to use this.
All right.
Yeah. And then based on that, I did my financial arrangements with the banks, and that's what we told them we're going to do. Waste management. I think we also raised the potential of doing a processing mattresses in there as well. So that was the key reason they knocked it back. TCOP knocked our loan back.
All right. So you did apply.
I did
to
apply.
TCOP.
Yes. And I believe there were 2 reasons that they gave us, not in writing, but verbally they told us, and they were not interested to fund that. One was to do with council being in competition with private sector, mattress collection.
Mhm.
And then I think from memory, the other one was to do with environment assessment that was not conducted at that point in time. But we did say that there is a DA that's going to be lodged in, and as part of the assessment process, that environmental assessment will be done.
Is that an appropriate time?
Yes. We're going to take the mid-morning break now, Mr Nadan, for about 20 minutes.
Thank you.
We'll resume at 10 to 12, so if you wouldn't mind being back just a minute or so before that, ready to go. Matters of the orders I made, or directions I made pursuant to 12B of the Royal Commissions Act yesterday. Yesterday at transcript 362, lines 5 to 16, 369, lines 29 to 370, line 4 of the public session transcript, and transcript 5, line 39 to 46 of the transcript of the private session. I made various orders pursuant to section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act, following on from Mr Emmett's notification this morning. I now vacate those orders such that there's no restriction on the publication of that evidence, including the transcript of what was the private session yesterday. Thank you. Yes, Ms. McDonald.
Mr Nadan, taking you back to the purchase of 600 Cow Pasture Road, I want to take you to some documents now. Would you please bring up LCC.002.001.5699? And would you go to page _0005, please? Yes. Mr Nadan, I'm going to take you to some documents, including some emails, some of which you are copied into. That may assist you in your recollection of when you had conversations with the Mayor. You can see on the screen that this is dated the 5th of August 2022, and it's from the Mayor, request for an extraordinary meeting. Would we move up the page? Then there's an email from a George Dukakis, again giving some details about the requirements for an extraordinary meeting. And if we can progress. And that's, stop there, please. That's the beginning of...
I'm sorry, Ms. McDonald, I think you might be looking at a different screen to the rest of us.
I am.
We were stopping on a blank page.
I apologise for that.
Quite all right.
Would you go to 0002, right down the bottom of that page? Now stop there. You'll see an email from a Julie Scott to the Mayor, but there's a number of people copied into the email, including yourself. And if we then move to 0003, you can see there, there's a reference to a meeting with the property and strategic planning crews. Colliers is going to be contacted. There's going to be an urgent valuation achieved. And then it says, as this is an unbudgeted matter, the CFO will need to review the matter and provide advice. And then there's, before he can go any further in the process, John requires a resolution from council to allow further investigation on potential purchase, etc. What I'm interested in is the statement that it's an unbudgeted matter and you are going to have to review the matter and provide advice. I assume that's one of the reasons why you were copied into this email?
Yep.
When it refers to an unbudgeted matter, that means that it's the purchase of the property and any associated loan or use of any reserve has not been included in the current budget.
That's correct.
And when it says you have got to review the matter and provide advice, what advice was it your understanding was earmarked there?
Well, I guess I would have expected in a normal situation for them to give me information in terms of the purpose of the purchase, the potential for us to go in, the idea of going and getting a loan and repaying that, whether we can actually afford that or not. I guess that's the kind of advice.
All right.
Yeah.
And then would we move back towards the beginning of this document? Maybe if we go to the next page so we can see who this is an email from. So this is an email from John, is it Milichik?
John Milicic, yeah.
Of the 5th of August. Now, you weren't copied into this, but if you continue down, you could see again there looking at the wording for this resolution. And can you see there, the first part says, approve proceeding with a due diligence process for the potential purchase of a depot site, 600 Cow Pasture Road, Hoxton Park. Then if we can, for due diligence includes a review and any cost benefits of the site in relation to the council's existing depot strategy. And then if we can return to the top of this document, it then seems that Julie Scott does send that preceding email, which identified it as being a depot, to both you and Mr Diplis.
Yep.
And then you okay with the words P. Diddy and VIP? You VIP or?
I don't know what she was referring to.
Or you P. Diddy?
I mean, I get hundreds of emails, so.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Putting that to one side, you're being asked whether you're okay with the words, but the thing I'm concentrating on with those previous words is that there's an identification of it being to buy the land as a depot.
Well, that's the understanding.
Now, would we then go to a different document? This is LCC.002.001.2558. And live stream, please. Is it?
It's non-public.
Could you excuse me?
Not on.
I understand it's subject to a non-public.
It's on my list, but without knowing more, I don't know why or what part of it. Could it be put on the screens internally, but not live streamed for the moment, and then we can work out how best we can proceed? Is that okay, Mr. Emmett?
Yes, Commissioner.
We put it on the screens in the room, but not live stream it, please. Just not share on the live stream. Thank you.
Actually, I should advise, now that I understand the basis, could it come off the screen?
Okay,
And I'll
yes.
explain why in a moment.
Yes.
The basis for it is a claim for legal professional privilege, so I don't
see.
want any perception that that's been waived. That may not be over the whole document.
Okay.
But at least in that document is a communication over which my client asserts legal and professional privilege.
I see.
Which is why I don't want to risk waiving it by allowing it on this screen.
Understood.
Could you excuse me for a minute?
Of course. Okay. We can pause.
while I confirm that, I understand I'm told my client's application was not to make an order over the whole document, but to redact it. And
Yes.
so and I understand that may not have happened yet, and we don't complain about that. But all of that makes me cautiously optimistic that the communication
Where we're going
is
is safe.
wants to explore. There's no difficulty with, but I can
Of course you can. And if we get to that stage, Mr. Emmett, and we get to territory that causes you concern, you just let me know.
No.
Yeah.
The first email that I want to take Mr Nadan to, I understand they're just
Yeah, that's
checking.
fine.
Yes. Can I say this much at least? The document at page _005, which is the first in time. That's an email you've already seen, so there can't be any difficulty with that email.
Right.
If Millen and Friend is proposing to start with that one, while hopefully my instructions come as in relation to the emails more recent.
I think it might be safe if we just be idle for a moment to make sure we don't trip ourselves up. But thank you, Mr. Whilst that's happening, Mr. Emmett, I was going to ask you for some assistance, not necessarily immediately, but over the course of the next week or so. We had some evidence earlier in the week, last week, about the status of organisational charts from time to time. And this is not critical in any way. An organisation such as a council regularly reviews its organisational structure. What I would be assisted with is just some clarification as to which chart was current from time to time during the just so I'm clear in my mind that what is a proposed structure that might not ultimately have been adopted but was used for consultation purposes, I can identify that versus the one that was actually implemented.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Commissioner. And those behind me will start work on that soon.
I'd be most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
May I inquire through your Commissioner, is it possible to live stream particular pages, and then if I need to move to the top document to stop the live stream so we can avoid the particular email over which privilege is claimed?
All right. Yes, that is possible. We'll just pull it down once we move, and then we go back. So where are we starting?
We're starting, which document? It should be 002.001.2558.
Yes.
And if we start at the bottom of the document,
All right. Can we bring that up in the room, noting Mr. Emmett's claim?
yes.
Just want to make sure that what is in the room is what can go on the live stream from time to time. So let's bring that document up at the very bottom of the document.
Could I,
Can I just confirm that's page 0006?
if we could start, I'm sorry, at 0005, you'll see there's an email. If we start there, then we're going to move up to the next email and then we'll pause.
004.
We'll
So
start
we'll
at
at 5.
So we're starting at lcc.002.001.2558 underscore 0005. If you could bring that up on the screen, but we're not live streaming at the moment.
Not live streaming the document, not a private session.
Oh, I'm
Live
sorry.
streaming the document. Just want to make sure those in front are clear about what we're doing. We just go to the top of the email. Pause there. This is the one,
That's the beginning of the email chain.
and this is okay to be streamed, Mr. Nadan?
Yes.
And what's the next one?
Then under 0003, towards the bottom of the page, there is an email from Mr Nadan dated the 7th of August 2022.
All right, and that one's okay as well? All right.
And then I think there's the problem, I won't describe it as the problem email, I'm sorry about that.
The sensitive one.
The sensitive email,
Yeah.
which we won't show in the room.
Yes.
But the email at the beginning
You'll mean-
of the document, I wish to show that.
And that's okay. So we're passing over the one in between.
Yes.
I understand. All right. So if we go back to 5, is it 5? Or you wanted to start?
Yes, thank you.
And that can be live streamed, but operator, when we move between emails, what I'd like to do is pull the email down from the live stream and make sure that when we put it back to the next point, we are not in any way affecting new standards for legal professionals. Sorry, Mr. Nadan, we just need to make sure we get this right.
All right.
One is. Yep.
You're right? Oh, terrific. All right, now we're commencing with this email that's on the screen from the Mayor to a number of, first to councillors, and then a number of people are copied in. You're the last person, your name appears as the last person to be copied in. And you've got an outline of a motion for an extraordinary meeting on the 9th of August.
Correct.
And again, you can see that it's looking at approval proceeding with a negotiation and due diligence process for a potential purchase of a depot site.
Yep.
And then if we move, yes, if you can just stop there, you can see it's anticipating, excuse me. Could you move down, so we have paragraphs 1, 2, A and B, a little bit further down. Good, thank you. And you can see there that it's seeking approval for an expression of interest for the potential purchase of a depot site, and it's foreshadowing a due diligence period of 4 weeks, including but not limited to valuations and finance if required, building condition assessments, and the offer is to be no greater than 25 million, noting that the site has a current offer of 24.5 million. At that point, when you received it, where it has under 2A finance, open brackets, if required, and where it's identified as a potential potential purchase of a depot site, did the council have the reserves or facility to buy that without obtaining finance?
No.
Now, can we then, we're moving to the next email in the chain, which commences at the
Hang on,
bottom
hang on.
of page
Can
3.
we pull the document down and then we'll start it again at the bottom of 3? Ms. McDonald, would you just identify the date and the sender of the email to make sure we're pulling up the right one?
The sender is Mr Nadan. It's the 7th of August at 12:17 p.m. and it's addressed to Peter Diplis with a copy to David Galpin, Julie Scott and Paul Perrett.
Right, if we can have that in the room first. That's the one?
Yes.
And that can be streamed?
Yes.
All right, that can go up on the live stream. Thank you.
Now that's an email you sent.
Yep.
You can see that there's a reference to Mr Galpin, and then you say, as the money involved is in excess of 10 million, also noting that the acquisition is not included in the current DP/OP and any other of the other strategic plans, this project may also be subject to a capital expenditure review. And then if we go to the next page, 0004, you attach or you include a summary flow chart with a circle round capital expenditure review requested.
Correct.
Would you return to that beginning of Mr Nadan's email? Now, where you say the acquisition is not included in the current DP/OP, what are you referring to there?
So the DP is the delivery plan, OP is the operational plan, which includes the budget.
And then you also state, and any of the other strategic plans. You see, you say that?
Yeah, maybe I was making reference to the budget.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I was making reference to the budget, I think, by just saying strategic plans.
All right.
Yeah.
So what you're saying there is not included in those bundle of documents that the council consider in the preceding June,
Yes,
which includes the budget and also the operational strategy, etc.
correct.
Then when you say this project may also be subject to a capital expenditure review, what are you referring to there?
This is the Office of Local Government Guidelines. If you have a capital expenditure more than $10 million, it needs to go through a capital expenditure review. So that means that you need to submit a business case, Office of Local Government, and they will say yes or no.
All right. Now, you say that at the beginning of the email, I've alerted David Galpin for advice on this. If I can just take this in stages, you have in some way either spoken or emailed Mr. Galpin about this issue. Mr. Galpin provided an advice to you.
From memory, no.
Pause.
Yep. The issue of whether, I'm sorry, I'll ask this question. You raised there that it may be subject to a capital expenditure review, and you've just outlined that involved putting a business case to the Office of Local Government. Was ultimately a business case pursuant to a capital expenditure review done for the purchase of this property?
I don't think so. No.
If it was, were you the one who was going to at least have some input into the business case?
Normally they outsource it. They have a consultant to do it.
All right.
And when it comes to the financial bit, the financial implication bit, we provide them an extract of the long-term financial plan, which will include that property. Yeah.
Now, could we take the document down for a minute? All right. I won't refer to the rest of that document anymore, if that can be brought down. Now, as you've seen with those emails, it's foreshadowing a motion to go to an extraordinary meeting of council.
Correct.
Would document INQ.012.001.0008 be brought up, please? Yes. And you see that's the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 9th of August.
Yep.
And if we move through it, oh yes, you are recorded as attending.
That's correct.
And if we continue to move, and then it's noted the council's moved into a closed session, again, to consider an opportunity to purchase a potential depot site.
Correct.
And then if you continue moving down, then you actually have the council decision, which commences there, which approves proceeding with a negotiation and due diligence process for the potential purpose of a depot site.
Correct.
And if we continue moving down, hold on. You can see under 4, under ensuring due diligence, it includes a review and any cost benefits of the site in relation to the council's existing 2018 depot master plan. Is that a matter that you were going to undertake, or would that fall to another director?
Would be another director.
And if we can keep on Sorry, can you? Right, under 7, can you see it says, bring a further report to be presented to council once the due diligence has been completed, to seek final approval from council to consider the purchase of the property, and that said report is to include a funding strategy and a summary of changes required to the existing 2018 depot master plan, should this purchase be progressed. The reference to a funding strategy, is that something that it was anticipated you would be prepared?
Funding strategy, I guess by that time, it was decided that that depot going to be used predominantly for domestic waste management purposes. And then I would have provided advice in terms of how much is available in the reserves, how much we need to borrow, what would be the repayment, and the potential increase in domestic waste to repay this loan.
All right. Now, a confidential report was provided to the meeting. Could that be brought up, please? OLG.001.001.1392.
Just in the room for the moment. Seems as though there's an order over this one.
Yes.
Commissioner, that is the subject of an order. The basis of it is that confidential and commercially sensitive information. Can I say this though? Can I take instructions on whether
Pressed?
whether it's pressed? Because
It's a expensive
3 years
moved
ago.
on.
Yes, quite.
Excuse me.
Yes.
This document is presently not to be live streamed, but it can be brought up in the hearing room.
All right, that's great. It may be that, Mr. Emmett, there's a number of documents subject to the orders I made prior to the hearing that are in a similar category that were probably made on a what I've been describing, for want of a better term, as protective basis.
Yes.
In due course, perhaps they can be reviewed as well,
Yes, that's right.
and at least redactions made for those parts that aren't to be published or over which the claim is maintained, rather than the whole document.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Now, Mr Nadan, I'm bringing up the confidential report that was provided to the council at that extraordinary meeting. Now, if we can just move through the document. Now, if we pause there, it's headed report. It refers back to February 2022 and a mayoral minute in relation to a new depot. Can you see that?
Yep.
And there's a reference to the process to lodge a DA to upgrade the Rose Street depot.
Yes.
Then if we can move a little bit further down. If we pause there for a minute, it refers to point 3, aim to have the construction of a new depot programmed in the 23-24 budget, if not earlier.
Yep.
And then it's got, with reference to that, a piece of land located at 600 Cow Pasture Road has become available for purchase and may be suitable for the establishment of a new depot. Then there's a reference to costing and current offer, etc.
Yep.
And then this report seeks council's endorsement to proceed with an investigation
Correct.
about whether it's suitable site for a new depot. And
Yep.
would you keep on moving down the document? And then you've got, excuse me for a minute.
Grateful to the friend to permit me to interrupt. That document can be live streamed.
All right, so can I vacate the order over this
In relation
document?
to this document, yes, Commissioner.
All right. Bear with me just a second. In relation to the document that has the document identifier OLG.001.001.1392, that was subject to a direction I made pursuant to Section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act that it not be published, that direction having been made on the 11th of July. In relation to that document only, I vacate that direction and it can now be put on the live stream.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Emmett. I'm grateful.
Can I double check that's now being live streamed? Thank you. Can we just very quickly move back to the beginning of the document? This was the confidential report for the August extraordinary meeting, and you can see its opportunity to purchase a potential depot site.
Correct.
And if we keep on moving down, there was the reference to a mayoral minute back in February 2022, which is looking at upgrading Rose Street Depot and aim to have construction of a new depot programmed in the 23-24 budget, if not earlier. And then there's an identification of 600 Cow Pasture Road. And then if we can keep on moving down, we've then got the recommendation. And the recommendation, again, is rather similar from the notice of motion that was being discussed in the exchange of emails that I've taken you to.
Correct.
And if we can just moving down. Pause there. So it's approving to go into a due diligence stage with a certain amount of money to be paid in due diligence. And under 5, further report presented to the council, which will include a funding strategy. Now, and maybe financial implications. And it states not included in the budget or long-term financial plan, but the due diligence payment can be funded from unrestricted reserves general fund.
That's right.
And if we can then keep on moving. All right, then, oh, sorry, again, it's noted, because there was a resolution to build a new depot as at February 2022, it's anticipated any expenditure in relation to the purchasing this site would potentially negate any planned expenditure on the new depot. Now, at that point, and we're still in August, it seems that the aim or the purpose of the purchase of the land is still just a depot. You can see in that confidential report, there's no reference to it being, the purpose being waste recycling, domestic waste, mattress shredding operation. It's completely silent as to that.
Correct.
And is it the case that if it was just purchased as a depot, some of the funding that was identified eventually for the purchase of the property wouldn't be available?
That's correct.
Now, from that, we've got a meeting of the council of the 16th of November 2022. If we can bring up the minutes, INQ.001.001.0993. And can we go to page, I think it should be underscore 51. Yes. Now, there it notes the council moved into closed session, and then after closed session, you've got the council decision, and if we can move down that page, please. Sorry, to make sense of this, if we could go to the top of page 51. Yes, stop there. You can see the particular item is an opportunity to purchase a site for Waste and Resource Recovery Centre. And then if we go back to moving down the document, after the closed session, the motion was to purchase the property identified in the report for the price and on the terms, and then notes the intended use of the property is related to the discharge of its domestic waste management function, and agrees that the purchase is financed by charges collected for that purpose.
Yep.
Then there's an authorisation of a release of up to 5 million from the Domestic Waste Management Reserve, and then approving borrowing of funds up to 32.7 million for a 20-year fixed-term loan.
Correct.
And then it's anticipated that there'd be an increase in the annual domestic waste management levy by an amount required to fully service the loan.
That's correct.
And then it says note that an updated long-term financial plan is to be submitted to the council meeting on the 14th of December.
Correct.
And then 7 authorises seeking loan funding from the Treasury Corporation. That's T Corp that you've referred to.
Yep,
Concurrently with the banks.
that's right.
Now, would you bring up, please, document LCC.004.005.1703? Can I just, before bringing it up, can I just note, my understanding is that it is subject to a non-publication order. It was the confidential report for the November council meeting.
The one we've just seen referred to in the minutes.
Yes. Excuse me.
An order has been made. We don't press that order.
Over the whole of the document?
Yes, that's a.
All right, bear with me.
Commissioner.
Thank you. Bear with me just a moment.
Can be
Just hang on. Sorry, just pause for just a second. On the 11th of July, I made an order pursuant to Section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act that the document with the document identifier LCC.004.005.1703 not be published, that order or direction is now vacated.
Now, if that document can be brought up, but if we can move to page _0007, please. Now, Mr Nadan, you can see this is the confidential report entitled Opportunity to Purchase a Site for Waste and Resource Recovery Centre.
Correct.
And if we move down that page under Executive Summary, you can see in the first paragraph an opportunity has arisen to purchase a site, formerly a bus depot, identifies it for a waste and resource recovery centre.
That's correct.
Now, and the report continues with details about the particular acquisition. Excuse me for a minute. Including if you go to 0031, and towards the bottom of that page, there's a heading Financial Implications, which refers to a table on the next page about showing indicative cost of acquisition related infrastructure works, costs of borrowing, and an estimated increase in the DWM levies.
Correct.
And if we go across to page _0032, there is the particular table assuming a purchase price of 24.75 million. The particular option set out there in that table, did you create that table?
I did.
And as it sets out, you basically look at a fixed 10-year loan or a fixed 20-year loan. So the loan, if we just, well, I think it's the same for both. The actual loan is in the amount of just over $32,000. 32 million, I'm sorry, dollars.
Yeah, 32.7 million.
All right. And then you've got under operating cost savings and revenue opportunities, you've got several items, and then you've got a net shortfall per year. If we just take the 10-year loan, it's about 1.2 million.
Yep.
If it's the 20-year loan, it's about 495,000.
Yep.
What's the reference to the net shortfall per year? What are you referring to there?
Would it help to see the whole of the table as one?
Maybe.
Yeah, if we can just zoom out a little and take your time.
Scroll up a little bit. Oh, hang on. Okay, so it's looking at the loan servicing cost, and then also the operational cost savings and revenue opportunities. So it's looking at the difference between 2.3 and 1 million below. So that's the shortfall.
Right.
To service the acquisition and
Yeah, so basically we're repaying this loan, but then there is savings in there, and then this is the bit that we need to actually recover from from the ratepayers, the domestic waste. Can I point something out?
Yes,
In this table, when this was presented, there was an error in calculation.
there was an error in the calculation.
Yes. So the loan servicing cost, those two numbers were incorrect.
Can I just pause? Under the heading loan servicing costs underneath loan replacement,
Repayment, these two numbers, the 2.3 million and 1.5 million was not correct.
can you recall offhand what they should have been?
There was a correction memo. So this, I realized this after it went through council, and we realized there was a mistake. And then we followed it up with a memo to all the councillors with an updated table. I think it was probably, if you, from memory, it's multiplied by 2. The 2.3, that servicing cost should be about 4.6.
Right. And what about the 1.5?
That would be times 2 again, 3 million. I think the memo was issued 4 days
After this November meeting.
Yes.
And once that correction was made, did that follow straight through to the net shortfall per
Correct,
year?
Correct. And then the shortfall funded by the ratepayers also would have changed.
It just had a straight knock-on effect to all of those numbers?
Correct.
Now, one of the purposes to take you to those various documents is to return to the questions I asked you at the beginning of this topic about when you first learnt about the proposal to purchase the property. And again, just summarising your evidence, you were on holidays, or you received a phone call from the mayor about, can we afford to buy a property for about $20 million?
Correct.
Then your return after your holiday, attending a meeting with the mayor. At that point again, it was, can we afford this? Your answer was from general reserves, no, but it depends on the purpose. And
Correct.
you just referred to the 7-Eleven contributions by developers, and also the domestic
Correct.
weight rates. I've taken you to correspondence where, leading up to the August meeting, it was, the purpose was as a depot, and then we see in November it's now for the waste recovery centre.
Right.
Do you recall that your evidence is that you, in a sense, flagged with the mayor, you might be able to fund the options. Can you recall, was that before the August meeting when it was earmarked as the depot, or afterwards?
It was before.
All right. But that doesn't seem to have been translated into a different purpose, and hence access to some different funding until after the August meeting.
Correct.
And again, do you recall the circumstances in which that occurred, where the purpose was changed?
Well, I guess I'm taking instructions from the CEO, saying, well, this is going to be now used for this purpose, and the modelling thereafter that followed. So you raise it as an option, then your recollection, you should get some kind of instruction or direction from the CEO. This is now the purpose. You prepare then the modelling that is a reserve or a particular pool of funds that can be used to finance this. That's right. Is that an appropriate time?
Yes. Mr Nadan, we're going to break for lunch. You know, 2 o'clock?
Yes.
We'll resume at 2 o'clock if you wouldn't mind being back here just before 2, ready to go. I'd be most grateful.
Thank you.
And we'll adjourn until 2 p.m.
Yes.
Mr Nadan, just a couple of final questions about the purchase of Calpasture Road. You gave evidence immediately before lunch that the purchase and the associated impact on the financial statements of the council, because you've now borrowed some additional funds, wasn't contemplated in the budget. And then you provided to, I think, the meeting of the council of the 14th of December 2022, an updated long-term financial report incorporating those changes.
Correct. As required by the T-Corp and the commercial banks.
Sorry,
T-Corp and commercial banks require an updated long-term financial plan that is actually endorsed by the council. So I had to update that to meet the requirement.
now, details of that updated report, but can I ask you in summary, the purchase of the property, what effect did it have on the budget?
Obviously, the borrowing cost would have gone up.
Yep.
That would be offset by increase in domestic waste income. And then it would also impact on the restricted cash, which is the domestic waste reserve. Those would be the key implications, I would think, yeah.
The restricted cash reserves from the domestic waste charge, that was used to fund part of the...
5 million was borrowed from the domestic waste.
And then there was borrowing of additional funds from a bank.
So, yep, we borrowed $32.7 million from CBA. $20 million of that was used to purchase this property. $500,000 was borrowed additionally at that point in time to activate what we call the second part of the loan facility. So that money was also drawn down as the first tranche. And that money then was used to buy the second mattress shredder. And the balance of $12.2 million is currently sitting in internally restricted reserve, which is earmarked for improvement works.
That's improvement works for the site.
Correct.
And that money hasn't been spent yet.
No.
Now, you've just referred to some of the money being used to buy the second mattress shredder.
Yes.
It was anticipated that the operation of the mattress shredder would generate income.
Correct.
Also, was it anticipated from the site that there would be possibly income generated from an operation of a truck wash bay?
Yes, that's what our understanding is.
Now, I want to take you to a document that was provided to the Governance Committee meeting of the 28th of January 2025, document INQ.001.001.1128. If we can just bring up the first page. I did take you to this document yesterday, but we'll just double check if there's any difficulty. You can live stream it. So you can see that's agenda for the Governance Committee meeting of the 28th of January this year. Would you go through to page 0092? And you see that's headed Finance Report December 2024, and a report prepared by you.
That's correct.
Now, I want to take you to the second page of this report, which is page 93 of the document. You'll see it's headed Report Budget Performance. And I want to take you to the table where, no, sorry, if you go back just before there, you state this report provides the Governance Committee an update on current issues impacting on the 24-25 budget. Progress is achieving saving targets as resolved by Council. But if we turn to the first part of the table, and the last entry where you've got mattress recycling income,
Yep.
and there's a budget impact and you've got -1 million, then a comment, delays in other councils utilising CEC, then staff are actively engaging with neighbouring, we move to the next page. Councils, however, unlikely the budgeted income will be realised by 30 June 2025, and this is offset by 450,000 budgeted operating expenditure. This is an emerging risk which needs to be monitored.
Yep.
Now, can I ask you about that entry, the mattress recycling income, where you have budget impact -1 million, what does that refer to?
That means that we will not be able to, or there is a shortfall in revenue from that mattress recycling income.
Right. And is that shortfall in the amount of $1 million?
Yes.
You then talk about this is offset by 450,000 budgeted operating expenditure.
Yep.
What are you referring to there?
All right. So when we did the modeling for the mattress recycling facility, we built in a projected number of mattresses that will be recycled at the facility, and obviously that will give us user charges when others councils dropping mattresses in our facility. We'll be charging them by mattress, right? And also there will be steel that will be extracting from the mattresses and selling it. And on the other side, there will be some operating costs like running the mattress shredder, technical staff, and I guess also the what they call the bucket grabber or something. The
Excavator?
no, it's grab something. I can't recall the name. So it just picks the mattresses and puts in there. So the operating cost of all those were factored in. So if you're not processing the number of mattresses as you expected, then obviously there is an impact on the expense side. They will not actually increase. So that 450 reflects that.
On that piece of equipment, was it known as the grab bucket?
That's right.
Now, your final comment there is this is an emerging risk which needs to be monitored.
Yep.
What's the risk?
The risk is obviously it's a new business venture. There were, I believe, some resistance from the staff using WHS matters in operating of that facility. And I guess there was some advocacy piece done by the then mattress collecting contractor with other councils, telling them not to use our facility. So there was some negative implications coming from that. That was at that point in time. So I guess it was prudent to monitor that. Whether other councils are joining or not is a bit of a slow process. So yeah, it was emerging risk.
Can you see the next entry on that page 94 is truck wash bay income?
Yes.
And a -835,000.
Yep.
Again, you note equipment costing 400,000 is being procured, but it's unlikely the budgeted income from this initiative will be realised by 30 June.
Yep.
So again, when it was projected that there would be income from that particular aspect,
Right.
that hasn't eventuated.
That's right.
But again, you note this is offset by a saving in operating expenditure.
That's right.
And then the next item is sale of recycled materials.
Yep.
Again, is it as you say, it's correlated to mattress recycling initiative and sale of commingled waste.
Yeah.
The minus 550,000, does that indicate that, again, there was an expectation that this would be generating income and that hasn't come to fruition by this time?
That's correct.
If we can just return to page 93 and again towards the bottom of that table. The second last item, other income, Canterbury Bankstown Voyager Bridge contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the matter you referred to earlier in your evidence?
That's
where
right.
it was subject to some kind of arbitration with a resolution being made?
Yes, so that's the second part of the deal.
Right, and as it says here, the timing is likely of that revenue will not be settled by 30 June 2025.
That's right.
Now,
Hang on, sir.
Oh,
Can I just
sorry.
take a bit, just to refresh my memory. So when we did the 24-25 budget, there was an agreement from Bankstown to Canterbury Bankstown Council to pay Liverpool City Council $5.3 million. That was the first part and the second part together. The $2.8 million out of that was already recognized as a revenue when we did the initial invoicing to them. This bit there, I think I put that in as well on instructions of the then CEO, Mr. John Ajaka, saying that, you know what, we will pursue this. They've already agreed to $5.3 million, so that we will get the balance. And that's the balance we talked about.
all right. You spoke about an instruction from John Ajaka.
Yeah.
At the time of this report,
Yep.
Mr. Ajaka is no longer employed.
Yeah, but the
But-
thing is, this was in the budget, in 24-25 budget. So when we included that, he said, well, they've already agreed to 5.3. We are guaranteed they were going to get that. So the balance between 5.3 and what we have invoiced them, we recognize that as the income in this financial year, 24-25.
All right. So the difference between the 5.3 and
Yes.
Mr. Nadan, I was asking you questions about that entry entitled Other Income, Canterbury Bankstown Voyager Bridge contributions, and you're saying that the 5.3 million, an amount of that was included in revenue in the budget.
Correct.
There was an outstanding amount.
Yep.
And as indicated there, it's unlikely to be realised until the next or the current financial year.
Correct.
I want to take you to another document that's been provided to those assisting the Commissioner. This is document LCC.016.001.0006. And that can be live streamed. as the table indicates, it's the mattress shredding facility income and expenditure, starting with 2021 and then a number of years actual and then project total. Have you seen this document before?
Yes, my staff prepared this and I,
Okay. Can I take the first section, capital expenditure, that's the various pieces of equipment, for example, the shredders and the grab bucket.
correct.
Then under operating expenditure, we've got employee related, which becomes an actual in 24-25, but before that there's been expenditure incurred for consultants, etc.
Yep.
Now, under operating income, you've got recycling service and sale recycling materials steel.
Yep.
And for the financial year 24 to 25, there are two amounts there. Can you see about 90,000 for the recycling and then the steel sales about 61,000?
Yep.
How does that income relate to the table that I just took you to in the February meeting, where you recalled that the mattress recycling income, there was a deficit of $1 million, and with the sale of recycled material, a deficit of 550.
We would have budgeted for something, can't remember off the top of my head the amount, but we would have budgeted for income more than $1 million. So that has come through $151,000. So we are saying, well, you know what, we are short by $1 million.
All right.
That's how it relates.
So just roughly, the budget could be $1,100,000.
Correct.
Let's say at the end of the financial year, you actually, the shredders generated about 90,000,
Yeah.
but in the budget it was over $1 million, hence there's that
Negative adjustment. Yeah.
impact.
Correct.
Right. And then we've got the operational savings for 460,000, and then the net cash investment that reflects that the revenue generated is less than the various expenditures.
You can zoom into the document so I can see the full document, sorry. No, make it
Out.
smaller, make it smaller. Too much. I want to see the headings. Yep, that's it.
Can you see?
Yep. So that would be the difference between, it measured in two things. One is whether we are making a surplus or a deficit. So for financial year 24-25, we ended up making a bit of a profit, which is about 50 surplus.
So about 50,000.
Yes. Which is the difference between total expenditure is 561 minus this. All right, so taking the total expenditure 561 and taking off the operational income, and then also taking off the 460 that we would have otherwise incurred. So there's a difference of 50, which is a surplus. And then cash investment inflow outflow, there is a outflow of 167, which is the 218 on the top, which we spent on capital expenditure, minus the surplus of 50. That's the difference.
And then underneath funding sources, you've identified the domestic waste management levies,
Paid for that.
a particular grant from the state government, and then your loan borrowings.
That's right.
There are just a couple of miscellaneous topics that I want to ask you about. As part of the Civic Place project, there was part of the project development agreement signed with Built Development. There was an agreement by council to sell part of the land it owned under a call option.
The call option, yes.
And the call option was for a fixed price of about $10.6 million.
The original price, which was agreed back in 2016 as part of the original PDA, was 12 million.
Was what, sorry?
Was 12 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then the price reduced to 10.6 in the second amendment of the PDA, which I believe was executed around 2017, thereabouts.
Has the call option been exercised?
Not yet.
Are you anticipating that if it is exercised, that will mean that revenue of about 10.6 million will come to the council?
Out of the 10.6, they've already paid us a deposit of about 3.3 million. And then the balance of 7.3, I think, or 7.6 thereabouts will come.
The balance of roughly the 7.6 million, has that been taken into account in either the last financial year budget or this year's financial year budget?
It will not impact on the operating budget. The reason being that $7.6 million is deemed or will be treated like proceeds from sale of land.
So it's kept within the
It
capital.
will go into cash.
Sorry?
It will come into cash. So basically selling a land.
I'm sorry?
It's like, it will be treated like selling a land, so it will just come into cash and we'll dispose the land.
But you haven't taken that into account in the current budget?
In projecting our cash position for 24-25, we did include in the projections the cash coming in, but that hasn't come in at 30th of June.
Now, another matter that I wanted to ask you about, and you referred to it during your evidence in the externally restricted funds, that projects are funded under the New South Wales Government's Western Sydney infrastructure grants.
Yep.
So applications are made, funding is provided, and the funding is earmarked for a particular project.
Yes, I believe there are 4 projects under that scheme that's been funded.
As the Chief Financial Officer, have you made any observations about any of the grants, whether the application that was made for a certain amount and when there is an attempt to actually build the particular project, of a discrepancy between what was sought and given and the actual costs at the time of construction?
As a CFO, I'm not very hands-on on that project. There's a special team in there who manages the project. But I do believe there were projects where the application was done and they had to make some scope changes and price changes because what was agreed, what was put to the government in the first place, due to cost implications and increases, it was not possible to deliver that project for that price. So I guess there is a process engaged process to manage that, and I believe if you can't deliver, then you need to go to the department and say this is what it is, and once the variation is agreed, whether the scope and the pricing both change.
And if a grant was for 100,000 and then at the time of actually doing the work, the costs had increased to 200,000, is your understanding it's a matter of applying to it for a variation to the grant?
That's right.
And if that variation isn't awarded, then the cost to complete the project would have to be met by council.
I believe that's the part of the grant agreement.
Excuse me. I think you just referred to other people within council who deal with those
Yes, there is
particular grants.
Yes.
And is that a team that not only is looking at what the grant was for and trying to organise the work to be done, but also a separate finance team that looks at the grants or looks
Correct.
after the grants?
Correct. One of my management accountants is on secondment in the
and
team.
that's not part of your team?
No, she's out of for 3 years.
Okay.
And definitely I'm missing her.
Now, final matter that I wanted to ask you about was staffing. You've given some evidence, for example, about with the recent budget, I'm sorry, I'll withdraw that. Recently within council, 2 directors and their executive assistants were made redundant.
Right.
And that necessitated some kind of payment, which my understanding is your evidence was that came out of last year's budget.
Yes.
Over the years, there's been a number of restructures and a number of employees being made redundant or being paid out in some way. You agree with that?
Yes.
Or that's your observation?
That's right.
In an interim report prepared by the Office of Local Government, they referred to recording payouts to staff under deeds of release totalling over $700,000 since April 2021. Now, if you assume that the report is up until maybe early 2024, and as the Chief Financial Officer, does that accord with your understanding or impression of the additional costs for that period in paying out staff?
No, I think the number is much higher.
The 700,000 is much higher.
No,
Oh,
what was paid out is higher.
within the financial statements, is there a particular item which records payouts under a deed of release?
It will be, so if you take 24-25 financial year, and we said we are charging all these termination payments or redundancy payments against that provision, it will appear against employee-related expenditure.
As a what, sorry?
As an aggregate level, employee-related expenditure.
And what's the description of the item again?
Employee-related cost.
Not separately.
No, unless it is for the CEO.
And then it's
Because I think in the annual report,
Yeah.
at the back of the document, we need to disclose that. But if it is like directors and others, no, they are just at an aggregate level, you will see $100 million. That's it.
And the figure that I referred you to from this report, your view is that more, substantially more money, or?
It's close to 5 million in total.
for what period?
I think it's going back to 2021 to 2024.
2021 to
It's close to 5
2024.
million.
Close to 5 million.
Yes, because 22-23 was a very busy year when Mr. Diplas left. We had the director planning going, the director corporate services going, director infrastructure going, and the chief people officer going. So
And your understanding is the people who occupied those positions received either a redundancy or some kind of
correct.
payment that
Yes.
required completion of the deed of release.
Yep.
Also, I'm sorry, withdraw that. Last week we heard some evidence about the employment industrial relations system at the council, and there was a reference to the award and then a salary system, I think it's known as.
Yes.
But we also heard evidence that there is also the capacity to pay what's known as a market rate.
That's
So for a particular position, instead of looking at where they would come within the salary system, a determination is made that they should receive a payment above the item in the salary system for market reasons, which usually refer to the fact that it's a special skill role or there's
In demand roles.
yes, and there's a demand within the market, and so to attract somebody you need to pay more.
Correct.
Again, as the Chief Financial Officer, can you give us an indication of the number of positions which receive the market rate?
I don't think I can give you a number off the top of my head, but there are many cases where the market rate offered. Let me just take a step back and explain you how the salary system works. So there are gradings, and each grade has 4 steps in it.
Can I just pause? Is that the grading in the salary system?
Yeah. So if it is a, say, I'll take finance example, this is easier for me. If I say, all right, I have a vacancy for an accountant. So the position description that I develop for that accountant, and the qualifications and other specific skills that are required for the role goes through a job evaluation process, which is done by the HR team. Once they make that assessment, I don't know what system they're using, they do the input, comes out the grade. For this, depending on the judgment, the skills and others required, this grade is graded, or this position is graded 15. So when I go to the market, grade 15 has a salary attached to it under the award. Now, if I find someone that in general sense, the candidate is appointed at grade 15, level 1, generally. But then I also have a option to give them either 2 or 3 or 4 at the time of appointment, because I think they're bringing more experience or more skills on the job. I have that option or flexibility to do that. Obviously, I don't approve. I make a recommendation to my director and he approves it. Now, when we talk about market rate, it's going beyond 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually giving them more than what
Yes.
grade 15 level 4 ones. Now, in my view, there has to be a limit of how much you can actually offer, because if you think about the grading, there's another grade on top of that, which is grade 16. So if you go and offer something which is more than the entry point for 16, I'll be questioning, why are you getting this person? Why don't you or regrade this position or give that more responsibility so the grading comes to 16? I think there is a little bit of control you can actually manage there. But again, I know people were appointed at market rates, but I don't know exactly, obviously not top of my head, exactly how much they've been offered. In total, I believe is the net impact was, that was when we were doing 24-25 budget, it was close to $1 million. That was the impact on the budget because of market rate appointments.
You say 1 million?
1 million. I can't remember how many people were there, but there was a list of
But
positions.
the ultimate effect of all of those market rate appointments,
Sorry?
the ultimate effect to the bottom line, as it were,
$1 million,
of
yes.
those market rate
Correct.
appointments was $1
On
million.
top of that, where some people were given, I guess, salary increases within the existing staff also got some salary increases.
But within the salary system,
No, outside the salary system.
right? And do you know what the net effect of those increases was?
Market rate and salary increases combined was about 1.5 million.
1.5?
Sorry, is that an additional 1.5 to the 1
No,
million?
included in there.
Included.
So 1.5 was the bottom line impact on salary cost due to market rate appointments and salary increases that were given to staff. And I think we provided that list to the governance, to the governing body without names. We gave them the positions.
And in the financial statements, that identification, just concentrating on market rates, which you identified a net impact for 24-25 of close to $1 million. Can you identify that in the financial statements?
It will be again reported at an aggregate level, employee cost,
In an aggregate?
employee related cost. But I guess the point there is, if you give salary increases or make market rate appointments in one financial year, it has an ongoing impact on the 4 years because the base has changed, and then the odd increase will come on top of that.
Yes.
So it has an ongoing long-term impact.
And did you say this was subject to a report to the governing body?
We provided them a list of positions that were, where there were market rate appointments and also people who got salary increases. So without the names,
Yes.
we gave them the position. The deed was the position where actually salary salary increases were provided.
And was that a report that was given as part of the budget approval process? Or
Correct. As part of the consultant engagement process, we gave them, there was a concern about why the salary is increasing by that much. So we said, well, there is an award increase. We have created more roles. And by the way, these many people were appointed at market rates, plus they got salary increases. So that is impact. That's having an impact on the 4 years.
So that was a report for 24-25.
Correct.
Was there a similar report done for the most recent budget process?
No, we didn't give them the positions. No.
The report for 24-25, is it a confidential report?
It was provided in confidence as a supplementary information that the governing body of the councillors wanted.
And that was around June 24.
Before that, April, when the draft budget was being discussed, we gave them that.
Oh, so that was part of when you're having consultation with the councillors.
That's right.
You provided this separate
Correct.
report.
Yes.
Can you assist us with the title of the report?
It was not a formal report. It was just a page given to the councillors. So you would not have like a cover page attached to that.
As we've seen,
Correct. It would not be
not
like
that
that.
formal.
No. It's just a spreadsheet and has the positions and the budgeted salary the market rate appointment and the variance.
That report was provided in the lead up to the 24-25 budget.
Correct. As an explanation why the salary is going up that much.
Your recollection is a similar report was not provided in the lead up to the 25-26 budget.
No,
Do you know why?
I guess we try in explaining why there was a salary increase of, more than a certain amount. We gave them that report, but this time we didn't have that issue.
What do you mean you didn't have the issue?
There was no request from any of the councillors for that information. And also in terms of, I think there is a fine line between operations and the governing body. So what level of information they get is determined by the executive.
So is your recollection in 24-25, one of the councillors
I think it was the mayor who asked for that.
asked a question?
Yeah.
All right. That question was not asked in the
No.
lead up to the current budget.
No.
Would you just excuse me? There's no further questions.
Operator, could we have brought up document INQ 016-001-0004? And this is the long-term financial statements which have been shown before, so they can go on the live stream. Long-term financial plan, I'm sorry. You can see there, Mr Nadan, it's the most recent long-term financial plan.
That's correct.
Can we go ahead to page 0008? And on this page, there's a series of ratios.
That's right.
And are you familiar with these ratios?
I am.
These are the OLG.
They were OLG ratios, but for financial year 24-25, they have made it optional for councils to report on.
Yes, all right. But the OLG has a series of. Have I gone
No, I'm
wrong?
sorry.
Oh, you're just
I
looking at the
can't see a
screen.
I should have indicated that. I do
I thought I'd
apologise.
done pretty well to that point. The OLG has a series of benchmarks for each of these ratios.
That's right.
All right. I just want to get your assistance in understanding them and their significance from your perspective as the CFO. The operating performance ratio, what does that measure?
All right. So that basically looks at operating revenue and operating expenditure. And I guess managing your expenditure in relation to whatever within the revenue you're actually collecting.
Right.
So that's it, in a commercial sense is the profit.
And the ratio is greater than zero? The benchmark, I'm sorry, is greater than zero?
Benchmark is equal to or greater than 0.
And according to this, that benchmark is not currently forecast to be met. I'm sorry, it's going to be met in the 2025-26 year.
Yep.
And then not met for the next 3.
Correct.
And what is driving that result? Do you know?
What is driving that result? Well, I guess there is the key one is depreciation, which council basically doesn't have much control over. It's about 50 million plus that sits there, and I think that's the challenge for growth councils, because even though the growth council itself doesn't deliver any infrastructure, there is infrastructure that is handed over from the developers to the council that council needs to maintain their own ones. If there is a subdivision, say drainage or whatever they put in there, once they get the consent, they sell off their lots. Maintaining all those infrastructure becomes the responsibility of council.
And that is that an impact of Austral on this council?
Yeah, so Austral had mentioned all those areas. As the development is happening, all those lands, properties are handed over to council. On average, it's about $40 million worth of assets dedicated to council, right? Now, because they are infrastructure assets, they start depreciating from day one. So you would argue that, with the new assets, you would not actually require immediate maintenance of those assets. So, but we are required to depreciate from day one. So that's driving that, plus the salaries and other operating costs that's associated with that. And on top of that, I guess, because rate is kept, council is not able to increase rates. So everything, all of those impacts the bottom line.
That was the issue you were raising yesterday about the limited
Correct.
ability of council to raise its own funds.
Exactly right. And then also the financial assistance grants, for example, there's timing issues. So we are assuming for 25, 26, we're going to get 85%. But as we have seen for 24, 25, they gave us 50%. So there will be timing issues, which will actually impact on these ratios. So that's the operating ratio.
All right. And the operating ratio being less than zero, as the CFO, is that a matter that would cause you concern?
Given the factors that I've just put forward, as long as they're not overly in red, I think that's not an issue.
What do you mean by over?
Like if you're talking about 10%, 20%, something like that, then there's an issue because eventually it's gonna impact on your cash.
Yes.
So that's what I mean when I say overly. But less than 5%, I don't think that's an issue.
Not an issue in the context that you've just explained.
Correct, right. And an Office of Local Government has actually realized that. That's why they're saying
Optional.
But I guess the important thing there is your cash. Your reserves needs to be there.
Can I take you to the next one? Own source operating revenue ratio.
Yep.
What does that measure?
What it does, it actually looks at the total operating revenue. Again, I guess it's a little flawed in the way because the total revenue, which is the denominator, includes your capital income that you are getting. So what it does, it looks at your rates, which is your own source, other income, which is your own source, and then divides it by the total revenue, bottom line. And then I guess the benchmark is more than 60%, I believe.
Yeah.
Again, as a CFO, I'm not too worried about that because as I've described, it includes capital expenditure as well. So you talk about own source operating, then you should be only looking at total revenue minus your capital expenditure. Then you look at it.
Thank you. The next one, the unrestricted current ratio.
Yeah, so that's the unrestricted current ratio basically looks at your current assets and current liabilities that are not related to any restricted reserves. So if you think about, so it basically looks at your current assets and current liabilities, which is due in 12 months. When we say current, 12 months, and then 12 months in your liabilities. So it basically looks at the unrestricted components of your current assets and current liabilities.
And the benchmark is greater than 1.5?
I believe so, yes.
And not expected to be met this year or in the next, the following 2 years?
1.5. Yes.
And
probably a temporary position now. But as I've described, there are other initiatives, including the $7.3 million we're going to get from the build when they exercise the call option, and redevelopment of the car parks and other any cash that we're going to get through Project 2020, Project 26, if I may, that will improve that position. So if that tip is temporary, I guess the main reason there was, I guess there are a couple of factors. Number one, it's naive to believe that terminating staff is not costing council. It does cost council. We have a legacy issue on asbestos, which has already costed more than $45 million, and that's ongoing. $2 million in the next 10 years, $2 million each for every year. That's a legacy issue. We don't have any other source of income for that. And What else is there? Okay, these are the major factors that's impacting our unrestricted cash position.
All right, what I've understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you consider it's temporary because there are measures being taken to address it.
Correct.
But do I take it though that it is still a matter that requires ongoing
Attention.
review and attention?
Correct.
And if those measures were not to derive the benefits that you expect,
Yep.
the forecast here would obviously be affected.
That's right.
The next one, cash expense cover ratio. What does that measure?
That looks at current expense cover ratio. I think again it is looking at current available cash and current liabilities in total. Is in total, and I guess again it's flawed a little bit to the extent that it includes Section 711 money.
It excludes restricted funds.
Exactly. So if you are talking about your current assets and current liabilities, and you're looking at your total cash, well, you can't touch that.
Do you have a sense of what the cover would be if one ignored the restricted?
Oh, no, I haven't calculated that.
The next one, rates and
Rates and annual charges, that basically looks at the total rates levied and how much you haven't collected. So the higher the number, that impacts on your cash because you haven't actually collected that.
And the benchmark is
5%.
less than 5?
5% or
Equal to
less.
less than 5?
Yeah, less than 5. Again, that benchmark was set, I don't know, apparently ages ago. I don't know when. Also, if you look at the total outstanding, if you look at us, $15 million, there's about $3.5 million or close to $4 million that relates to pensioners. So there is a council policy which says, well, we can't go too aggressive debt collection on the pensioners. So as the pensioner base rate increases and you are not actually aggressively pursuing them, then obviously your outstanding rate is going to give up.
Is this an emerging issue, if I can put it that way, for the council?
It is, yes.
The next one, debt service cover ratio. You know what that measures?
Debt service. Again, I guess it is looking at the total repayment, which is the principal and interest, and looking at your cash. What is your ability to repay that? I guess it's same thing. Debt service ratio, interest only.
Another way of measuring a similar issue.
Correct. Yeah.
Interest cover ratio. You know what that one is?
It's interest only.
Interest only.
Yeah. It only looks at interest, not principal.
Can I then ask you about the infrastructure and service management ratios?
Yes.
The building and infrastructure renewals ratio. What does that look at, to your understanding?
It looks at, for a particular area, it looks at expenditure that council has done or spent on renewing assets compared to the depreciation of this infrastructure. There is a bit of issue about the definition of renewal expenditure. And I'll have that argument with the engineers. If you take a road, for example, take a road, for example, a 2-lane road, and when you say renewals, in its strict definition, it's about just renewing the 2-lane road, basically scraping the surface and relaying it. What actually happens in practice is that 2-lane road, because of traffic demands and everything, is now, when they do that, it becomes a 4-lane road. That 4-lane road is not classified as renewals. It is classified as new works. But actually you are renewing those 2 roads. So again, I guess that measurement is really flawed.
I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, and the other thing I talked about is the depreciation on new roads. In theory, in accounting theory, the depreciation that's there you need to spend that much money because you're consuming that asset. And at a time, you need to renew that asset. So you set aside that money. That's in theory. But in this case here, as I've said, $40 million is dedicated assets, and they're new assets, brand new assets. Liverpool is a growth council, and most of the infrastructure is new. It doesn't need that money on the time. So I guess that there has to be, I guess, an appetite. We say, well, look, we are, building a renewals ratio. If we hit about 75, that is reasonable.
75?
75%, it's reasonable because of these reasons. Okay, I guess it's a council policy.
Yeah.
That need to be put in place. That's a reasonable, renewal expenditure that we need to do.
All right, and understanding the qualifiers you've put on the utility of the measure,
Yeah,
the OLG benchmark is equal to or greater than
100 plus, correct.
In the 25-26 budget, it's 180%, and then it drops to 53, 57, 56, 39, 52, 53 before getting back to about your more realistic mark. You would say of 75 towards the end of the period. What is driving the 180 to 50 down to 39 and back?
To be honest, I'm not sure these numbers are coming from the asset infrastructure team. They provide this, and they look at their capital renewals program, and they say this is the program and this is the percentage.
Does any of these ratios under the infrastructure and service management heading give you cause for concern as the Chief Financial Officer?
I guess the asset maintenance one is a bit of a concern that you need to actually maintain those assets, the existing assets, and it's below average or below the benchmark. Infrastructure backlog ratio, I'm not too worried about it. It's a bit of a subjective ratio.
Why do you say that?
Because I guess it says how much it's going to cost you to bring these assets to satisfactory condition. So what is satisfactory condition? It could differ from council to council. So that's why I'm saying it's very subjective. Yeah, but asset maintenance ratio is a concern.
Why?
Because the longer you don't maintain these assets, it's going to cost you more. So that's why I'm saying you got to be maintaining as you go.
And the benchmark is equal to or greater than 100 for that one?
Correct.
Do you have a view about the utility of that benchmark? Like you raised some concerns about the...
For asset maintenance, I would 100%, I would agree with 100% plus. But for the backlog and the building infrastructure ratios, I think there needs to be some flexibility.
Right.
Depending on, it's not one fits all kind of thing.
Yes.
It has to be council specific, I guess, a little bit.
All right, just focusing on then the asset maintenance ratio, does this forecast suggest to you that something different needs to be done in relation to asset maintenance within the council?
Yeah, I guess there needs to be a little bit more investment in that area.
More investment and focus in the area, sorry, did you say?
Investment in that area in asset maintenance.
To get it back to as close to or greater than 100?
Correct.
All right. Can I jump ahead in the document to pay?
Sorry, again, there is an issue about on asset maintenance.
Yes, please.
There is there's a resourcing issue, of course, giving them the funding to do the works. And there is also delivery issue, whether the team has the capacity to deliver that, given that we are doing all these major projects.
Yes.
So they're combined.
It's a resourcing issue on two fronts.
That's right.
The financial resources and the human
Capacity,
resources.
yeah.
I understand. But do I take it from your earlier answers, those two things are the challenge that need to be met and addressed?
Correct.
Could we jump ahead in the document to 0032, please? And this is the base case that you've seen before.
Yes.
And you've been taken to a lot of the detail. I don't want to spend too much time with you, but you'll see for the next, the forward period commencing after 25-26, there's deficits of 2.4, 1.6, 3.8, 1.3 before it returns to surplus.
Correct.
Are you able to give me a general sense of what is driving those results?
Obviously, from the cost perspective, employee-related cost is going up, and then there are obviously through the restructure, tranche 1, tranche 2, we will try to manage that. Obviously, there is a big borrowing cost attached to it, which is the second line, borrowing cost. That's
Borrowing cost for what?
borrowing cost.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so we are actually paying the loan. So that's again driving the bottom line.
And what are the main components of borrowing costs?
This
Civic
is
Place is one, for example.
Civic Place, yes, mostly Civic Place.
Alright.
And I think there was something for the Macquarie Mall, but that's almost paid off.
Macquarie Mall's almost paid off. Is it?
Almost, yeah.
So is the main item,
Mine was
the big ticket item, to pick up a phrase you used the other
That's
day?
Civic Place.
All right.
200 million.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry, go on.
And then you got depreciation, as you can see, is going up significantly from 55, 58, 60. So that's in all these West Invest Fund projects we're talking about. Once it's completed, council needs to operate it. So that's additional cost on top of that. And then obviously it's going to be depreciated. So that's driving all this.
And in some of your earlier answers today, you indicated that there are initiatives and measures being pursued to try and
Correct. So we get cash from all these things that we're doing, and the idea is to invest that in maintenance, renewal of assets, stuff like that.
But again, do I take it that the position in the next 4 years and beyond, but if we just deal with the 4 years after the current financial year, is that something that you consider needs to be fairly closely monitored?
In the 4 years?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Because if some of those initiatives don't come to fruition,
Yeah.
the position may trend the other
So
direction.
this long-term financial plan is done every year.
Mm.
And I think I was talking to Farooq, maybe we should start doing it every 6 months. It's best practice, and start putting all these changes through. Because as you know, the budget is set, but then other decisions made in between the year, creating positions, for example. Those are operational decisions that, the CEO has done, or something is passed by the governing body that we need to incorporate in there. That obviously changes everything. And if there are significant items coming in, we need to see how it impacts our long-term financial plan that can actually drive some strategic decisions.
And tell me if this is too general a question, but sitting here today, how would you assess the overall financial position of the council?
I think we are satisfactory for now.
Satisfactory for now?
Yes, we got enough cash. Yeah.
What are the main risks moving forward for that position?
Well, if I look at my current long-term financial plan and using this year as the base, cash is looking good. So there's no issues there.
Cash is looking good?
Looking good, yes.
Mhm.
But then again, it all depends on what, again, is based on assumptions. If we don't realize that, then obviously there are risks in there. So we need to manage those. And then obviously the risk is if the governing body decides to do something different, that's that. But I guess from organizational point of view, the biggest risk there, or biggest issue there, is the stability. The leadership keeps changing, the direction keeps changing. So that's the biggest risk. And then there's staff are just left thinking, what's next?
Sorry, the biggest risk to what you describe as the satisfactory position is stability at the executive level.
In the core, yeah.
And
Yeah.
why is stability at executive level important to
Because-
managing this financial position?
But I guess we have seen this. If the CEO comes in, he says, here's the direction, this is what we want to do. We capture that in the long-term financial plan. The next CEO comes in, the direction changes. Some of the initiatives that was put in place is taken off. And so that, again, depends, or impacts on the bottom line and the cash.
And if that sort of change were to happen again in the next, say, 2 to 3 years, this could affect the ability of the council to return.
Exactly. So this is a planning document which reflects the position of based on the best information at the point in time, needs to be updated regularly and monitored.
And earlier you told me that the cash is, I think, looking good, you said?
Yes.
So
For now.
the position has improved since your report?
From June 2024, the
Hang on a
position
second.
has improved.
Just pause for a moment. The position has improved since your report to the governing body in about December of last year?
Correct.
And what has driven that improvement?
Obviously, the settlement of the Hemmetville piece of land, that is improved. We were able to successfully negotiate with Bankstown to get the $3 million that we use our money to do that. So that has actually come in. And there was a staff freeze following my report in December. There were a lot of vacancies kept like that. So that has given us some savings. All these things have added up to give us a better position end of June 2025.
And in answer to my earlier question, you said the position is satisfactory for now.
Yes.
Why did you add the words "for now"?
Well, again, it depends on which direction and what decisions are made later on. So I'm just saying, based on now, this is what the result looks like. But if there are other decisions made that has financial implications, it might change.
So as CFO, looking to return to surplus on this projection,
Correct.
would suggest that fairly close attention needs to be paid to staying on the pathway, so it were?
Correct. Correct.
Right. And in answer to some of Councillor Sisting's earlier questions, you said that the cost of staff payments, termination payments or redundancy payments and the like was close to $5 million for the period 21 to 24, correct?
Oh, redundancy payments, yes.
And is that something that those figures are able to be extracted from the council's financial system, that is termination or redundancy payments over a period of time?
Yes. I already got that report.
Thank you. Anything arise out of that? Does anyone seek leave to ask Mr Nadan some questions?
Just before somebody does,
Yes.
could I just first hand up to be marked for identification TB8 general exhibits?
Is this an update to what was MFI 7? All right, that will be the updated index of headed TB8 General Exhibits 2 as of 22 July at 8 a.m. will be MFI 12.
May I take you to the third page?
Yes.
Tender item 167 being document INQ.009.001.0001, agenda to governance meeting held on the 18th February 2025.
That will be Exhibit 27.
Item 170, document INQ.001.001.1128, agenda to governance meeting held on the 28th of January 2025.
Exhibit 28.
Item 171, document LCC.001.003.03330, ABC article 18th of December 2024, Liverpool Council facing serious cash flow problem.
Exhibit 29.
That's it.
Yes. Does anyone seek leave to ask Mr Nadan some questions?
I do, Commissioner. I
Yes.
anticipate I'll be 10 to 15 minutes.
That's fine.
Mr Nadan, you gave some evidence about assumptions that are used to prepare the budget. Do you remember that?
Correct.
Am I right that assumptions are often a matter of judgment?
Yes.
And there are sometimes reasonable minds can differ about whether a particular assumption should be made.
Yes.
You can have situations where one well-informed person thinks an assumption is reasonable and another well-informed person thinks that the assumption is not reasonable or is unduly optimistic?
Generally, yes.
Can I ask about the preparation of budgets? Is this the case? Is it the case that budgets each year have typically include items that will, at an appropriate point in the coming financial year, require a council resolution to be implemented, but where the council resolution has not yet been made?
Sorry, so you're asking me whether there were some assumptions included in the budget where council resolution hasn't been made?
Items in the budget.
Items in the budget.
Yes, where you're going to need a council resolution in the future, but it's not been made.
Correct. So a budget is a plan, right? So it may be included. It's a plan, but I guess it has to be a reasonable plan where you can actually deliver or not.
And from your perspective, that means if it's going to require a council resolution, you need a reasonable basis for expecting that the council resolution will be made. Is that right?
Yes.
And so can I take, by way of an example, an expectation or a budget that includes a proposed acquisition or sale of land?
Correct.
Am I right that each year the budget, when settled or when adopted by the council in June, includes many items where there's going to be includes in various items of the budgets figures that reflect that there's going to be or expected to be an acquisition or sale of land?
Not every year.
Well, bear in mind, I'm not necessarily talking about large and significant pieces of land. But most meetings, council makes resolutions in relation to the sale or acquisition of some pieces of land, doesn't it?
Yes, generally, if there is something is included in the budget, those items or those pieces of properties are actually identified.
I'm
Quite
sorry, I
big.
didn't hear that. Those.
If there is any item that is included in the budget, say for example, sale of land, we know about that beforehand. So it's either in your delivery plan or there's some way that item is included in there. And come that financial year, we'll include that. Okay, so this sale is earmarked. So I was referring to say 33 Moore Street. I mean, there is a council resolution potentially, and that property was identified, and that property is actually included in the budget in that year. So in those cases, yes, it will be included.
And what you may have is a situation where a sale of land, and just to be clear, I'm also asking about a situation where the sale of a particular plot of land, or where sale of land will not necessarily feature as its own item. For example, you may be expecting a certain amount of income from sale of land without having earmarked the land to sell, but you know you're going to be selling various pieces of land, and you know the council will come to that in the coming financial year. Does that happen?
No, we do not make any general provision for sale of land, as opposed to what we do when we do the capital works budget. We have a general provision to buy land, and we don't know which lands are there depending on the priority, what we want to deliver, what becomes more priority. So then that money is spent to buy the land. But in terms of sale, we don't have a general provision.
Thank you. And in relation to buying land, you make general provision because you know you're going to be buying some land.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
But the actual
Sale, no.
No, I'm sorry. In relation to the proposed purchases of land, the actual when you come to buying a particular piece of land, the resolution from the council to buy that land, that will come during the coming financial year, won't it?
Yes. So sorry. Let me put it this way. So we put a general provision in the budget to buy a property. When we identify that property and when we start entering into negotiations and about to settle, or the price is agreed after negotiation, we go back to the council and get a resolution to do that.
Yes, and that latter step, going back to the council to get the resolution, that happens during the financial year after the budget's been set.
Correct. It might be the same year, or it could be different years, depending on when you're ready.
And can I ask this? You referred, I think, earlier to the absence of a rate of a council rate increase.
Yes.
Am I right? The IPART, the Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal, it has a function of approving special variations to rates,
That's right.
and it publishes them. Is that right?
It does publish, yes.
But based on your position, are you able to give the Commissioner an indication of the frequency with which those special variations are sought by other councils around the state?
There are many councils who are seeking massive increases. The recent one was North Sydney. I think a couple of days ago, we heard about Blacktown raising $171 per property. Those are special rate variations that been factored in. As far as Liverpool is concerned, to assist fund the operations of the building of the council, we haven't sought from memory. I've been here for 11 years. We haven't sought any, nor have we factored anything in the long-term financial plan.
Thank you, Mr Nadan. Commissioner, those are our questions.
In answer to some of Mr Emmett's questions, you made reference to a provision in the capital works budget for land acquisition.
Yes.
And just to make sure I've understood it correctly, that's a provision that's made every year, although a particular piece of land may not yet have been identified?
Generally, yes.
Is there an average amount that's provisioned?
Around 50 million?
15?
50, 50.
50, 50
Yes.
each year? Roughly?
Yes, and it comes from the sections. Mostly they are funded from the developer contributions, and we buy land and then we deliver infrastructure. So that's the provision. But as you know, the negotiations and all those hurdles takes a lot of time, 2 years, 3 years kind of thing. So about 50 million is general provision.
Each year?
Yes.
And I don't have it in front of me, but does that appear as its own line item in the...
Land acquisition, yes, in capital works.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Mr Nadan. My name is Claire Palmer and I'm counsel for Mr Nadan.
Sorry, Ms Palmer, would you mind just perhaps moving that
Oh, yeah,
microphone a little closer to you? Thank you.
Please let me know if you can't hear that,
That's
Commissioner.
perfect. Thank you.
Mr Nadan, I just wanted to take you back to an area that the Commissioner addressed briefly with you. He had taken you to the document, which is the 10-year financial plan, and he pointed you in particular to the line borrowing costs.
Yes.
In connection to borrowing costs, you mentioned that the civic place had been a significant source of borrowing costs. Is that correct?
That's right.
And I think you also mentioned in your evidence to the Commissioner that the cost of civic place overall was $400 million. Is that correct?
I don't believe I made that statement.
Oh, excuse me, I thought I heard a figure of 400 million.
No, not for me.
I thought the
For the
witness
civic
was
place?
referring to the amount of the borrowings, which was
200 million.
The amount of the borrowings was just 200 million.
Yes.
And
Because the civic place itself has costed council $220 million.
$220 million.
Correct.
Thank
When
you.
we talk about 400, that includes the developer works. That's not council's cost.
That includes excuse me, could you just repeat
The
that, Mr.
developer
Dunn?
cost. So the whole Liverpool civic place,
Yes.
there are two components. One is council works.
Yes,
One is the developer works.
yes,
When you talk about council works, that's the
Yes.
220 million we're talking about.
yes,
The developer works is not council's liability.
yes.
All we do is transfer that piece of land to them and they develop, and that's their cost.
Thank you. And so in that case, then there are loan facilities with relevant institutions that total approximately 200 million,
200.5 million.
200.5 million in respect of the Liverpool Place project. And is it correct that these loans incorporate into the budget as about 7 million per year in interest costs
About that, yes.
in respect of Civic Place only?
Correct.
And in light of this, would you agree that the Civic Place project has placed significant financial pressure on council in terms of servicing those loans and paying those interest costs?
Yes.
Would you also agree, Mr Nadan, that that has placed some pressure on council in terms of having to consider the sale of various assets in circumstances where it otherwise might not have been considering that?
Yes, when we went to T-Corp for the last tranche of the loan, we took that loan as interest only, and we did indicate that we will sell a particular property to repay that loan in 5 years' time.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Mr Nadan, I now want to take you to the events of April 2024. This is a different topic.
2024, okay. Yeah.
Yes, and just one event in particular. I understand that there was a...
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Excuse me. of
Have you
course.
left Liverpool Civic Place topic, or are you going to come back?
I've left the civic place topic.
All right. I guess for the information of the commissioner, this project started back in 2015.
Yes.
A contract was signed with Built, and the PDA was agreed. When I talk about the PDA, is a legally binding contract
Yes.
that was signed in 2016 with Built.
Yes.
Now, the prices changed, the scope of the project changed, and I guess that was due to some planning requirements and some additional things that the councillors wanted, and the price then changed from 70 at that point in time to $195 million. And I think that has been explained by various audit documents that have actually done that. I guess that's
Commissioner. Mr Nadan, I don't have any more specific questions about Civic Place, but I appreciate you were explaining some issues to the Commissioner, so I interrupted you in your answer.
I guess I was trying to make a point that this is something that we've inherited and we are just managing it the best as possible.
Something that you inherited, the present council as constituted inherited.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I'm moving briefly to another topic, very small number of questions. I wanted to take you to April 2024, and there was a significant council meeting on 24th of April in 2024. Can you recall any particular council meeting that took place at this time that had special significance?
In April 2024.
April 2024. And I might, this might assist in helping you recall that at this, in advance, and please say if you don't recall this, but in advance of this particular meeting, there was an allegation circling that council was looking at sacking 150 staff members. Do you have any recollection of that?
I believe that was something which was advocated by the union. That's all. But as far as our discussions or my discussions with the executive of the CEO, I don't recall any discussions around that.
Does that mean it's the case, Mr Nadan, that you didn't complete any financial modelling at that time in respect of any proposal to cut 150 jobs?
No.
Are you aware of any other person in the council who completed such modelling?
I don't think so.
And as CFO, you would have been aware, isn't it the case, if any person had completed such modelling?
I would have.
Thank you. Mr Nadan, I have no further questions. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Does anyone in the back row seek to ask Mr Nadan any questions? No. Anything from you, Mr Duvall? No. Ms McDonald?
Yes, good.
Mr Nadan, you were asked some questions about the sale of land, and you said, look, something along the lines of, we know because there's a delivery plan.
Yes.
When you refer to a delivery plan, what were you referring to?
It's one of the key documents. It has a 4-year term. So when the council normally comes in, they say, "This is what we're going to deliver in 4 years." Then that plan obviously is reviewed each year, but not significantly. There is another plan which sits underneath that, which is the operating plan.
Mhm.
So that basically talks about what's going to be delivered in the next financial year. And then that is supported by the resourcing plans, which is the long-term financial plan, the asset management plan, and the workforce management plan. They all supplement those. So when I talk about that piece side of land, that was not in any of these documents. I guess there's a bit of, if I may assume that you are using 3 Hoxton Park Road as a piece of land,
Mhm.
there's a bit of history attached to that.
Is what, sorry?
Bit of history attached to that. So the history is this, that we council once upon a time owned that piece of land, and later on council actually sold that piece of land, and then council bought it back. And the rationale or the reasoning provided to the governing body at that point in time why we are buying that land back was that the location of this piece of land was very strategic positioned, and that will have an impact on the development of the Woodward Park master plan if council had to do that. And that's the reason we had to buy it. So I guess the decision in retrospect to sell it back didn't make sense, didn't pass the reasonable person test, if you like.
Okay, again, a rough indication of approximately when the council bought 3 Hoxton Road back?
Can't recollect, but it has to be 7-8 years ago.
You spoke about the sale of land, purchasing land, and that there is a provision for potential purchase of the land.
Correct.
And my note was that that was related to, is it a capital expenditure?
It's funded through the developer contribution, section 711, that council has collected. And then we buy these pieces of land to deliver infrastructure within those contribution plans.
I was going to ask, why wasn't the purchase of Cow Pasture Road funded by that means? But I think you've answered it when you said it's linked with the 711 contribution.
Correct. So there is a plan for each area, and then council then says, I'm going to deliver all this infrastructure because you're developing that, and you need to pay this amount. We collect it, and then we deliver that infrastructure. And Cow Pasture Road was not part of those plans.
You were asked about increases in rates, and you gave evidence that there hadn't been any special variation to the rates charged to Liverpool City Council community.
Correct. So, sorry, when I talk about special rate variations, that is on top of what our part has already determined.
That was what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
For the current, this financial year, there's been an increase of 6%.
Correct. So they had 2 parts of it within the 6%. So our part said, I think it's about 2% as a growth factor, and the balance of 4% thereabouts is for the general cost increases. Yeah.
It's nothing further.
Could you just give me an example of land that might be purchased through this capital works provisioning using a Section 11 grant, just leading on from the answers you've given to council assisting?
An example of a land?
Yeah, just an example of how that provision might actually come to be used. One from the past, or just a hypothetical even, just so I can get a sense of how that money might be used from time to time.
Okay, so under the contribution plan, council would have indicated to the developers that due to your development, these are the other facilities that council needs to provide for these people who are going to come and live there. And typically it could be parks,
I see.
right? So if there is a piece of land in there and that needs to be converted into a recreation area, council will use that money to buy that land.
Great. Thank you. That's very
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Of course.
could I just ask?
I set the ball running. You can kick it again.
You were asked some questions about Civic Place. Civic Place currently not only houses council facilities and staff, but also different floors are privately leased.
Yes, so we have, council has entered into lease with, or currently we have the St. George Housing Commission. I believe we have a university who's already taken 5 levels.
That might be University of Wollongong.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
And we have also entered into a head of lease agreement with New South Wales Police. So I think they're taking level 7.
So that results in the building being 100% occupied.
Correct.
And the St George Housing Commission, the university and the police, they've entered long leases.
Yes, about 10, 15, I believe.
And that's generating income for the council because of the rent that they pay.
That's right.
No further questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Nadan. That completes your evidence for the moment, as is been happening with all other witnesses. I won't formally excuse you from further attendance at the moment. In the event that we need to get you back, someone will let you know. But as soon as you can be released from your summons, that will be communicated to you. Thank you for your attendance and your assistance over 2, except very long days. I'm most grateful for your assistance, and you're free to go for the moment.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I need to do this afternoon?
No, thank you.
We'll adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow.